This is a message to all supporters. A message to all freedom fighters, to all dissenters, to all forgotten. A call to all intellectuals, to all journalists. A call to all freethinkers. A call for intelligence. This is a call to all poets. A call to the strong and the weak. A call to all young people. To the wise, to the astucious. We want you to join us. We are on the streets of Tokyo. In the skyscrapers of New York. In the lanes of Paris. In the cellars of Munich. On Moscow's icy places. On the cobbled streets of Dublin. This is a call to all people. To the youth. Join us in the fight for freedom of information. Search for us, and you will find us. We are among you. We are you. Everyone you speak with can be a member of Anonymous. We have no leaders, only an orientation. We have no targets, only results. You cannot stop us, because we are an idea. We cannot be eliminated, because we are invisible. If you try to mock us, we will mock ourselves. If you try to slander us, we will accept the defamation. We are the king's jesters with daggers. We are the dancing bear which tears to pieces the laughing mob. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us, just as we expect you.
Of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
And we are live. Welcome to Anonymous Bites Back, episode 179.
Oh my god.
I know, right?
It's like a real thing now. You know what I mean? Like 179 episodes. Like there's actual shows on TV that didn't last anywhere near that long.
True.
Well, you can't exactly like hurt us because we're all volunteers and we just move from platform to platform. It's like, you didn't ruin us by kicking us off social media. We'll just move to another, or we'll make our own shit. It doesn't matter.
Well, almost, Fred. Like if you're not getting kicked off of platforms, nobody believes you. Like you're obviously not saying anything like true. If you're not being censored, you're not spitting the truth.
We do have like more episodes than the A Team now, right?
I think so.
More friends already?
More episodes than Firefly. And I loved that show.
What about The Walking Dead? Do we have more than Walking Dead?
I think so. I don't know. There's like 8 seasons and they're like 12 episodes. Yeah, we're bigger than The Walking Dead.
Probably not. Probably not. That's kind of.
Well, no, they actually almost got canceled a year ago for viewership. They weren't even hitting the hundreds of thousands anymore.
We'll be on longer than The Walking Dead, but I wouldn't say bigger than The Walking Dead. They're huge.
Soon,
Maybe we have more zombies than The Walking Dead. Are we not allowed to say that?
Maybe Fear the Walking Dead, that like spin-off show. I think Wormit probably is. I don't think anybody actually watched.
In other news, this is actually really fucking hilarious. California Congresswoman Katie Hill has been exposed in multiple different photos. Just Google it and look it up. And she has one where she shows off a Nazi-era tattoo, smoking a bong naked. Apparently she was on a whole bunch of different like swinger websites.
Yeah, I don't even know how to process this that right. So she was showing a Nazi-esque tattoo naked while smoking a bong. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, that's
God. It's like the Nazi tattoo wasn't enough yet, right? He has to like smoke a bong and be on swingers.
Does that like off, like that's 2 for 1. Like, yeah, it's a Nazi tattoo, which is bad, but like you're obviously cool because you're smoking a bong butt naked, right? So do those like does the 2 outweigh the 1? I guess not. Maybe that's not as cool as it for everybody as I think it is.
I honestly have no idea. Like it's just such a bizarre story. It's like you don't think about your congressman or congresswoman fucking.
I assume they're all into that weird shit. I assume that like what we know is the tip of the iceberg.
Well, I mean, the some of them, they have that like fetish with children. I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, just in general, that is not the freakiest thing that is going to happen in the halls of Congress today.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, the Skull and Bones members, they kiss a skull. So there's that.
You're not drinking out of Geronimo's skull, which is creepy as fuck. You're part of a death, obviously. But yeah, like I definitely take offense to the Nazi part, but the smoking a bowl naked, I think, is like. Right, as an American, California, like she's in California, like that's standard like smoking routine there.
It's standard to smoke completely naked.
It was interesting you mentioned the Skull and Bones AK because the Totenkopf logo, which is like the exact Skull and Bones logo, is a famous Nazi symbol too.
Yeah, that's true. The thing that I was going to say that's worse than smoking a bong naked is the fact that they, as neophytes, initiates into Skull and Bones, they have to touch each other in a fucking coffin. I'm not making this up. It's like legitimate. You can look it up. They have to touch each other in a coffin and confess a real dirty, dark secret.
Like a crime that they've committed, or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I've read about it. They're like it was said it was like masturbating in like a coffin while
Yeah.
they're like
Yeah.
giving
Yeah.
like secrets and stuff. That's what I also
Yep.
read.
Yeah.
Oh, crow. Who would sit around and think that up? Like when you were sitting down, I understand rituals go on for forever and ever, but somebody had to sit down the first time and think, all right, how are we going to initiate you? Oh, I know. I'll whack off into a coffin. All right, Carl, sit down. Sit down. That's why we don't invite you to these meetings, right? Because we had a cool cling, thing here, and just initiation, and this guy wants to whack off into the coffin and drink out of Geronimo's skull. What the fuck? You'd think there would be way cooler like ways to each other, midnight bungee jumping.
Oh shit. The congresswoman here, metadata, revealed that she was smoking a bong before it was legalized in California.
For real?
Yeah, that's what the article said.
But I mean, okay, yeah, I'm sure that's true. But even then, when you say legalized in California, you got to put that in like quotations. Because, I mean, it was illegal, but I mean, it's California.
Well, California was one of the first states to legalize medical marijuana, and you believe it or not, it was legal in that law was passed in like '76, but it was not going anywhere other than research.
Yeah, but California just recently legalized marijuana for recreational consumption.
Yeah.
So it does matter, but it's pretty funny that the picture metadata actually reveals that it was taken it was taken on 9/11 in 2017.
Oh God.
So I mean, she was just celebrating, man.
That's not good timing for you politically.
Wow.
And how much more worse can this get?
Like, nobody can come and defend you at that point. Like, you have pissed off everybody in one picture.
Yeah.
Like, even I came out like, all right, let's hear it out. People make mistakes. Right? There's a reason why you could have gotten a crazy ass Nazi tattoo. Let's hear it. And it obviously, not even I can dig you out of that one.
Yeah, like Andrew Oppenheimer when he came out of prison. Yeah, that's some weird.
She also had a Reddit account called "Would You Fuck My Wife?"
Oh, yeah, that's gonna ruin you politically. Yeah, that's not good.
You gotta love the internet. Because they would normally...
Well, I mean, it's like it's us in the panel, and Anons, we kind of understand, what you put out there is out there permanently, and you're better hiding off behind anonymity. But if you're in politics and you're posting your dirty little secrets everywhere under some fake fucking name, that's not going to protect you. I mean, a lot of a lot of stuff is can be traced back to you through.
Yep.
If you don't come out of the track like honest with the people, you know what I mean? If you're running for an office and you come out and you're like, all right, look, guys, I've made some mistakes, okay?
Yeah. What the fuck? I don't know, man. I'm not touching this topic with a 10-foot pole, bro. I'll tell you that. Well, I've had friends that have gotten tattoos and blackouts. Me personally, I've done it, and you wake up the next day like, what the fuck did I do? And I mean, I could just imagine, somebody like them being intoxicated, like, can you give me a tattoo of blah 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 blah, and then they're like, yeah, sure, and then they pass out, and they're like, dude, wouldn't it be funny if I tattooed something else? No, not really. Remember that guy that got a big, huge dick tattooed on his back, and it was from a friend, and then yeah, it was like all his whole back was like a huge penis. Well, I remember when Weave got out, like Weave was acting really weird, and then he comes out on Twitter, and then he posts a picture of himself with the shirt off, and there's a huge swastika over his heart, and like everybody was asking him, like, dude, like, why is there a swastika over your fucking heart? And I remember him saying, like, oh yeah, man, I'm the king of trolls. It was just a troll. Blah 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 blah. And then turns out, like 6 months later, he's like full on fucking white supremacist activist, and he's doing info security for prestigious white supremacist page. Yeah, he we've been tracking his Bitcoin wallet. No, yeah, we've been tracking his Bitcoin wallet. Do you know a total of more than $10 million have gone in Bitcoin through his wallet? Some serious money. He's doing some serious security for back end security for white supremacist pages. I think he's like the go-to guy of, like, if you're like a skinhead and you want to have a website, you just call up Andrew Oppenheimer, and you pay him a fucking shitload of money, and he does infosec for your fucking webpage. Like he's like, if you ever tried to like dismantle, I'm not saying this is satire, right? If you ever like satirically try and look at a fucking white supremacist website, you notice that a majority of them will have like crazy high security, and I'm almost positive that it's all behind one guy. I mean, they don't have too many web pages out there, but still, they seem to have like a pattern of more than just Cloudflare up there. No, yeah, Andrew's not stupid. Like he plays it off like he's not as brilliant, as smart as he is, but he definitely had some skills. Even when he got caught, even when he got caught hacking AT&T, he said he was just guessing when he got into like the CIA's .me account, which was affiliated with with the cloud, with whatever the OS X or whatever, the Apple cloud at that point. And I'm like, okay, yeah, he broke into some serious shit. He no, it was, they were email accounts affiliated with iOS, and they were yeah. Wait, that screen name sounds familiar. Didn't he break into the UK Metro Twitter account? Oh God. For real? I think it's work. I think the strategy is working, Bill. Wait. I heard he was. I didn't watch the thing because I was out doing a lot of shit today. But I I'm just saying that from what I read, the Libra coin was in question about whether they could. I'm just telling you one thing. Yeah, the SEC. If Libra coin is already in question now, to trust me, the SEC will not allow. Well, they don't have the exact say so whether they can or can't do it. But I'm saying the SEC will be watching them much more strictly than any other. It's not even a decentralized coin; it's a centralized coin. So I don't know. Well, that's like. Well, I'm just saying that's like half of politics is half truths. So it. I mean, that's been going on since the beginning of time, since the Greeks. Yeah. Hold on. Let me check. Let me check Periscope. 'Cause I can't. Everything's set up like as big as it can get. Hold on. Oh shit! My bad. I think I turned off the one side of the audio. My bad.
Oh, which side?
I don't know how that happened. How long has that been going? I turned on the audio when I first. How long have we been on? 30 minutes.
Yeah. We'll get it sorted. Yeah, I wonder which one of us. We'll have to go back and listen to it and see which
Did
one of us.
I accidentally click on something again? Like that's ridiculous. There's like, I know I turned on both audios. I saw the audio going back and forth, but I just updated the software, and it's buggy as fuck. Maybe I don't know. It's on now.
Huh. Weird.
Okay. Okay, well, good call then.
Yeah, that would explain why it was super low.
Thanks, guys, for mentioning it in the comments. We didn't even notice it. We're like in a Discord where we can hear each other clear, but we don't always know what is actually at the other hand and at like the broadcast itself. So,
Dude,
thanks.
this is like the umpteenth time like this has happened with this software.
Yeah, so that was with what went on at the Facebook. I don't think it was in any way legally binding. I think it was just an inquiry, but yeah, that was what went on earlier.
Yeah, it was just a hearing. It wasn't, nothing binding.
Probably should get into updates with Julian Assange, some things that are very, very concerning. I think we should spend some time going through that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, I'm recording the show back in, so all of the audio will be there once I upload it to YouTube. So
Okay.
So for people who missed the first 30 minutes, it will be on YouTube eventually.
yeah.
Why YouTube hates us so much.
But like I had to update to this new version. This is like the umpteenth time this has happened. I'm almost positive this isn't user error, because I will click on I'll turn on the audio for the back end and the front end, and then I'll step away. Remember, this happened to me a couple of times where I stepped away, I'll go to a different screen, and then it's fucking muted again. That's bizarre. Anyway. Guys?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good. All right, I thought I lost you. What were we talking about again?
We were going to get into updates on Assange.
Yeah, we should.
There wasn't a lot of new information that came out. Most of what happened was all horrible, but expected. I think what concerns us most here, like right now, is his health and the deterioration of his health. Like, you have some theories as well on what's going on, and so maybe the people that you're getting your information, are more apt to even talk about it. But yeah, the change in his health, the rapid decline in his health is extremely concerning to me. I don't, like I said, I don't personally have any concrete information. We don't have a toxicology report, but it's not someone to go into to jail and their health immediately, go, their mind immediately go. Like, this is not normal. We're not just talking about him and what you think about him. We're just talking about, the health and welfare of an inmate and what you're required to do to take care of them, and the review process that is into that. If you had any other, inmate and you were like, look, this guy is obviously sick, right? You would be required to make sure that they got to the hospital. The family would be able to get their own physicians there in a lot of cases. And in this case, we can see it in front of us, the direction that it's going, but yet you can get no information. You can't get doctors to him. It's definitely concerning is not the right word, but I don't want to be over the top in how concerned I am.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's been said, he looked like a zombie and was very out of it in court. So, I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's just very weird
it's
that you
drugs
go into.
for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's very obvious that he's being drugged, but we don't know with what drugs or what is being given to him.
Well,
But
I have my theories. You guys said he had neurological stuff, so if he's on nerve pain medication, I mean the side effects he's just I mean, what's going on with him in court is like atypical response from neuroleptic medications like nerve pain medications like pregabalin, gabapentin, baclofen. A lot of downers will do the same thing. A lot of D2 reuptake inhibitors, psychiatric medication. It's like, but I mean,
would
it's
that make you forget your name
yes,
and your date of
yes.
birth and everything?
That is
That's what I think.
a pregabalin that's atypical. They get like Alzheimer's response on usually on the peak plasma rate. So like 2 or 3 hours after they've taken it, usually when they're about peaking, they start forgetting stuff and they'll get dizzy and forget stuff, almost like being kind of like drunk all day long.
Yeah,
And I mean, definitely you can, and that's the deal. I don't want to get, because we don't have something concrete beyond knowing that the guy was absolutely brilliant a couple of months ago. And then as soon as he went into prison, there was a huge change in his mental faculties, right? That is like obvious to everyone. And the question would be, why is that happening? And the fact that you can't get any answers from that easily.
Well, as a prisoner, he has the right to refuse medications. I'm just wondering if he's being forced to take it.
Unless it's suicide. And that's what we were talking about earlier, that I'm pretty sure my theory, I guess you would have in this, is that they're using the loophole in suicide prevention, right? When you're on suicide risk. And when you're a suicide risk, they can give you medications, right, against your will. And I guarantee you that's what they're doing. And they're using all. And normally you would get normal medications, would have somebody that would come in and make sure that you're getting the right thing. Here in the prison system, they will use extremely archaic medications you haven't used since the 30s and 40s, and those are the only medications they are able to.
Well, the other big thing to say here is this is Belmarsh Prison, and Belmarsh is basically the UK's version of Guantanamo. And they've been caught in the past. There's been prisoners who said that they've been drugged and sleep deprived and all of these other torturous techniques exactly like they do in Guantanamo. So, any of that stuff could be going on right now.
People a lot of times don't realize how much of a tool sleep deprivation can be, right?
Right.
Beyond 24 hours, right? And you start seeing, where you're confused, you got no idea where the fuck you are, you can't remember your name.
The walls are melting, you start hallucinating, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. You have to combine it. So you have, maybe it doesn't even need so many or so much of like drugs or whatever. But you have like sleep, like Terrence says, sleep deprivation. But also he depends on them for his food, and his food could also be like deprived of certain vitamins and things that like.
Well, the last time that Assange was in a British prison, there was metal put in his food, and it chipped his tooth. So I mean, this type of stuff, it's been going on for a long time. So who knows what's going on right?
Too focused on the specifics sometimes, right? The question would be the people that are against Julian Assange, right? The people that want to do harm to him, right? The government agencies that would like to do harm to him. Have they in the past acted violently? Have they in the past?
Yes, multiple times. Yes.
Look at what they tried to do through, with Cuba and Castro, right? I mean, they have played games with everybody that they don't like, right? That's going to speak the truth about them, that's saying things that they don't like. They have poisoned, they have tortured, they have killed, they've assassinated, right? We can go through the list, and we're not talking about ancient history. I'm talking about last year. I'm talking about last week. I'm talking about yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So
get like, super hyper focused on what's going on. We can see clearly something is going on. And because of the enemies that he has, right, whether you agree with him or don't agree with him, because of the enemies that he has, he deserves protection from those people.
Right. And in before he went into prison and was taken to prison, in one of his leaked transcripts, it said that I am an assassination risk, and that they've tried to assassinate me, and that he said that there's been multiple attempts to try to climb in the embassy. So
as well as mercenaries at the embassy the entire time that he was at the tune of millions and millions. So I mean, they hired contractors, they hired your Blackwaters and all of those guys.
Right? Yeah. They hired UC Global, who's the Spanish, basically Spanish Blackwater.
You don't hire mercenaries to end up Indy. You hire mercenaries to kill. That's what mercenaries do. You pay them money and.
Oh my gosh, Terrence, we're losing you every other word.
Yeah, your packets are dropping like really bad. But just to go off of what you're saying,
Terrence.
He probably can't hear us either. Then.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Terrence, you there?
Just explain it calm then, AK.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to explain what's just happened, the UK court, in addition to denying the ability for Assange to defend himself and giving more time for the case management, the UK court just denied the Spanish court the ability to interview Assange on the spying accusations of UC Global and the CIA involvement. So, I mean, it's like you have two cases right now against Assange that have both been denied. And you just see these court actions over and over again within Assange's cases. They constantly deny the legal team to have more time to defend. It's very rigged and it's very biased.
I need to add another thing to that. That the Spanish court were absolutely not like because of the whole Catalan thing, but they are actually investigating UC Global. But now the United Kingdom government is like denying help to them. They're denying an investigation into it. They're blocking.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain. Is that this is a two-pronged move. It's not only denying Assange the ability to defend himself further in court. They've also denied a case that could have helped his defense. So it's very, very precedent being set here in various different ways. Not only just for journalism and with the Espionage Act, but it's also a precedent being set for asylum seekers because, the CIA and Spanish intelligence are not supposed to be allowed to spy on asylees that are in asylum. So, that's a whole nother precedent being set.
Yeah. Well, I just know that they're making it very bad for themselves too. I mean, if they beat Assange like this and they're like literally attacking his health and stuff, then what does that victory even mean? I mean, yeah.
For them, it doesn't really matter.
I think it have the exact opposite effect. Already, he's became a symbol for free journalism, right? Yeah. Like, everybody that they've tried this crap with, it makes it worse. From Che Guevara, they took an average, soldier and turned him into a symbol for freedom and resistance. They did that.
could have let it go. He would probably been killed somewhere on the battlefield, and no one would have even remembered it. But they turned him into a symbol, and they'll do that. They've already done that when it comes to Julian as it is. It's only going to get worse the more tyrannical they become.
Well, I'm just gonna say if this case comes to the United States, whoever is in office is gonna look really bad politically. Because it's an attack on the First Amendment. So they're gonna try and steer it away from that. And they're gonna say it's espionage and X, Y, and Z. But no, we're dealing with a First Amendment case.
I'm not even going to like hide it. Like I really am going to put, I am hoping that Bernie wins. I really am trying to put as much pressure on them as humanly possible to acquit him.
But it kind of looks like Tulsi might be president. As far as the polls were concerned, because Biden kind of shot himself in the foot, and Trump.
I think what they're going to do, just to be honest, is I don't think that they're going to allow her to be the nominee, even if she is the most popular. I don't think that they're going to allow her to be the nominee, and I think what we're going to end up seeing is she's going to split into a third party, and I think that that's already been kind of almost established.
What third party? The Green Party or some shit?
I don't know. I have no idea, but I just don't think that the Democrats will allow Tulsi.
Yeah, I mean, they either support who the American people do, or lose the Democratic Party altogether. Now, I'm not super close to her campaign, so I get news third person down the line. It's hard to say. Nobody likes the Democratic Party, right? The people that are following any of this are not following it because they're Democrats. They're following it because they like Tulsi or Bernie or Warren or Kamala or whoever the fuck that they're following, right? They're following that person, not the Democratic Party. And politics have moved completely away from that, probably before Trump. The cult of personality president, started probably with Obama, maybe the Reagan kind of guy. But the people aren't broken up into the party the way that the party tries to sell as they are. If you ask your average Democrat what they are, they'll tell you they're an independent. And the whole my generation specifically, like a lot of us voted for Obama, not for the Democratic Party. And now the Democratic Party acts like we owe them our firstborn fucking child.
Yeah, but the thing is, how independent are they really from the party, Terrence? I mean, how independent can they be? I know that they are allowed to say a lot of things, but I mean, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing right now what happens when you speak out, but I don't think that it's happening in their favor. And you saw people that were all running against each other for president stood behind Tulsi. Right? They were all, Bernie's running against everybody's running against her, and the corporate elite, the standard, neoliberal fucking piece of shit Democrats, right, were the ones that stood against her, right? The Hillary Clintons, the puppets, all stood on one side, but it became super clear on which side you were on, the side of the people or the side of the puppet. And at that moment, I think it was a clear view on where you actually stood in that. And we don't get that, view very often. A lot of times they seem like, oh, well, they're all Democrats. And we saw really clear there, Hillary Clinton is the leader of the corrupt Democrats, right? What she says is law. So anytime somebody speaks up against that, their job is to immediately come out and smash her or smash them. And it doesn't seem like Tulsi is the right person to pull that with.
I do see what you're saying. On social media, I do see what you're saying. Like I saw like a giant split. Like you have these the pro Biden, the pro Clinton, and for weird reason also the pro Warren people being like totally against Julian Assange. But you have the Bernie and the Tulsi side like being like pro Assange,
which I think show the actual Democratic Party. Like that really is where the mindset of the Democratic Party is, where the old, these are they want to continue fracking, they want to continue wars, they want it that the other side of the Democratic Party are just fucking Republicans at point.
Like when you take away the blue the blue tie, and you ask them what they stand for wars, they stand for prisons for profit, they stand for the fossil fuel industry, right? Like, you guys are fucking Republicans.
Yeah, but so what is wrong with the whole Warren Bernie thing then? Because I know they're like friends of each other and they like supported each other in the past, but how can their supporters be so different from each other? I don't get it.
They really are
Like,
the cult of personality, and not. They're in love with Warren, and whether her policies are for them or against them, something about her they dig, right? And the way that she talks, she relates to them. But beyond that, it's not that they've got a loyalty to anyone else. But I do think that a lot of what we see in politics now is all cult of personality politics, right? You don't support the Senate of New York, right? You support AOC. You hear? And so that's like those kind of situations we're having. I'm not sure if it's a bad thing. You're like, because of Twitter, because of social media, you like your constituents immediately tell you how they feel, right? But people are following individuals and not a party. I really don't see it. But the party likes to think that you owe them some sort of undying loyalty because you voted for Obama once.
I do think a person like Tulsi and also like Bernie would be better off going independent. But I was in a discussion, and AK also told me that they won't have any much reach as an independent. That's kind of sad.
I think people wanted Bernie to go independent last time. I think you would get a lot of support going independent. But look, I don't think any of these people are really down as much as I need them to be. I mean, look, when you look at Tulsi, Bernie, maybe Yang, throw him in there, right? For some economic benefits and all of that crap.
Mm-hmm.
But they could easily say, fuck these guys. We're going to do, Tulsi and Bernie could easily destroy both the Republican and the Democratic Party. That's like everybody. If you put
right,
Bernie could do it. I mean, Bernie, like since last elections, they built his so-called like brand. Everyone knows who Bernie is, so he doesn't actually need it anymore.
Right? Yeah, that's not what matters. What matters is that you don't have the funding coming in from the parties. These parties like the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. You don't have the funding that they have when you're independent. So you wouldn't have your debate, your televised debates. You wouldn't have that shit paid for. You would have to raise money to be able to afford to go on stage.
They get on Twitter in a room. If you put all of the presidential candidates in a room and put a Twitter live feed on, it would have more viewers than it did on CNN. You don't need all money.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. The thing is that you don't have the national coverage that you need as an independent candidate. And Jesse Ventura has actually made a very big deal out of this, is the fact that he said that he would not run unless he was independent and he was able to share the debate stage, because the independent candidates do not share the national debate stage, the televised debates. It's a known fact. It's a known fact that they don't
not need it anymore. If, like I said, most people don't even watch the full debates. They watch the 3-second clip on their favorite social media celebrity's page of their candidate kicking ass, and they all get a second to do it, right? I argue that in this day and age, the candidates do not need the corporate media nor their parties, right? The big candidates. Trump does not need the Republican Party, right? Bernie Sanders does not need the Democratic Party. He gets most of his funding from $5 like donations, right? From candidates like me, where all of his money comes from. What he can do that with a GoFundMe. Like, what do you need all of this cash for? I don't understand it. I really do think if you got all of the candidates in a room, right, and hit play on their live stream, it would get way more shares and views than it is on a CNN backed debate.
Yeah, it's not just CNN though. That's not the problem. The problem again is that the parties are paying for some of the advertising that's going on for their campaigns, especially after the primaries. When we get into the general is where the parties become.
When it comes to look at the advertisements that have came out, right? The campaign advertisements that come out, right? They spend what, $10 million, $20 million on an After Effects fucking template political ad. Right, you spent $10 million on that. I mean, you could literally make it in 20 minutes with, their little voice clips of, the great things that they're going to do and the movie fade, transition from one to the other. It costs nothing to make that stuff, and it would get just as many shares as the one that you spent $10 million on.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that like the advertising revenue is coming from the RNC and from the DNC, for especially after the primary, and when we go into the general and when they actually select their candidate, and that's another thing that I really like to stress for people is that you say that the system isn't rigged. I mean, you have the parties choosing their candidate, and then you get to choose, you get to choose, air quotes, who the next president is. But then you have all of this rampant voting fraud that was going on. Like during the 2016 election, there was actually votes changing from Trump to Hillary Clinton. This is a real thing that was going on. I looked and I tried to find votes changing from Hillary to Trump, and there was none. Like, I could not find anything. And I'm not saying that Trump isn't fucking corrupt, because there's many other different ways that he's corrupted. But the voting fraud stuff that was going on during the 2016 election was, in my opinion, and research, is all in favor of fucking Hillary Clinton. It's just so obvious.
Well, I mean, I think she probably cheated every way that she possibly could. I mean, it was the same question we asked before. Like, these are terrible people that will do terrible things. I mean, we do live in a world where Hillary Clinton, a person that absolutely, positively nobody wants for president and just got her ass kicked by fucking Trump, right, would come out and have the audacity to claim she was going to run for president again. That is the world that we lived in. You just got beat by Donald Trump. Go away.
Yeah, she must have cried so much about that. But I do think you guys are actually both right.
Well, she won the popular vote by 3 million people. You only won the popular vote by 3 million people against Donald Trump. That is pathetic. And
okay, but what you were saying, AK was saying, like, you need the parties and stuff paying for all the big advertising, right, on TVs and stuff. But I do think Terrence, you're also right that the internet's actually more powerful now. But I think the middle way is these candidates don't realize this yet, or they're not tech savvy enough yet. I mean, we also realize that if they would appear at PewDiePie on his YouTube, they would get more reach than they would get on TV. But they're not doing it. But they could. But they don't realize yet. Maybe in 5 years from now or 10 years from now, they do realize it.
I think really what the Joe Rogan show, I think, has been as close as they've came to realizing that. And I think they're just now, like some of these candidates and other stars or political actors are just now starting to see the power behind it. But I'd say a lot of that has to do, with Joe Rogan show. The Joe Rogan, the podcast he does?
Yeah,
I'm views easily.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it easily tops a couple million views easily. So
I argue on certain times it has more people that watch that than watch the actual debate.
I mean, yeah, it depends on. I mean, that's a good thing for Joe Rogan. I mean, have two candidates on for a debate. There you go.
Yeah, but I say that in that what does that cost you? I don't know what it charge. If Joe Rogan charges something to be on the show or anything, I don't know any of that, and I know he's got advertisers and that kind of shit. But
I don't think he charges to be on the show.
But compared to what the game, how much does one of these debates cost? $100 million more, $200 million?
Mm-hmm.
Something crazy like that, I'm sure. And the nationwide TV spots and radio spots and all of that, where you could do the exact same thing on Joe Rogan's show or come on, what's the guy that does that used to do the Daily Show?
Which Daily Show?
Jon Stewart, I think you
Jon
mean.
Stewart. Yeah, there you go.
Stewart, you could have him moderate it, and it would get way more views and cost you just about nothing. Way more people would watch that than watch it.
Yeah, I think if you had Jon Stewart as a host, I think that would definitely get you more views, because it wouldn't be all serious as who was the host?
Well, it might be serious, but like
Mika. It was Mika Zabrinsky, right?
When he's in like comedy mode, he's in comedy mode, and he is absolutely hilarious. But where he's got a lot of these where he's gotten respect is to come in and expect him to be in comedy mode and be a clown, and he's not. Right? He is like direct and cutting in like exactly the points that he would have normally made in a joke, but without the joke. Right? Just straight punchline. Right? When he comes out with it. So I mean, yeah, I'd like to see that caliber of person be the moderator. But like I said, I think that you would get more people watching that. You would get more views. You'd get more information out, right? You would get more support doing it that way than you would do spending $200 million through the corporate media.
Well, and now you're talking about Joe Rogan, who has, like, I want to say only 6.5 million subscribers, right? But look at PewDiePie, has over 100 million subscribers. Meaning, if you're saying like Joe Rogan already tops the television shows, then imagine like going on like a channel like PewDiePie doing your debates, you get far and far more reach. I think.
Yeah, but you can look at where they're spending their money and like who they've hired. They've hired the same crappy fucking advertising firms, right? Spin, doctors and propagandists that they always hire, right? These are the same guys that have been pushing it out from the 80s, and they've got that same mindset. They're still trying to make TV advertisement and exist in that world. And we've moved on to social media. Social media is where the power is. People are not having national debates in the Senate, right, over TV advertising. Right? They're asking questions about social media advertising because that's what people care about. That's what people are watching.
I think it definitely has its part, but I think still that even so, the televised debates are a big thing. Like, because
I might be a little bit biased. Fuck the corporate media. The revolution.
Well, I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree with that. But it's like, if you are going to win an election, you need to be on the televised debates. People need to know who the fuck you are. That's what I'm saying. Like, and if you don't have the funding of a party to do that, you're fully on your own on that.
This is coming out of the gate is an unknown, right? I agree 100%. But with people like Tulsi, with people like Bernie, they're already so well known, they don't have to waste their time with getting their name out there. Like him or hate him, you already know who Bernie is, and you know what his policies are. Right, where yeah, I agree. If you were trying to get, as a Democrat out of nowhere, if you were trying to make that your presidential run, I agree 100% that it would be extremely difficult to do without the party. But Bernie or Tulsi, they don't need the party at all. Like I said, you already know who they are.
Yeah, I think Tulsi has, Bernie has a bigger advantage because he already ran for president, right? But at the same time, it's like, Bernie, you didn't stand up to blatant rigging that happened during the primary, and when it came out, and there was evidence from the DNC. Wait. And when there was evidence that came out from the DNC, you didn't even stand up either. So it's like, there was direct evidence that came out of those WikiLeaks emails, and we never got any fucking response from Bernie Sanders being like, oh, well, yeah, I guess they did screw me. He didn't say anything. He just ignored it. And it's like...
I think there is some part of his campaign strategy that is just move the fuck up. Right? So, I mean, we're he could waste a lot of time getting bogged down in the same argument that I think all of us have had on the internet for the last, 4 years. Right, about the 2016 election and rigging. And I mean, we've been saying the same things, things that are known, right? The Debbie Wiseman Schultz crap, the whole thing, and yet it goes nowhere. So I can see where some of it, like,
well, I mean, it could have went somewhere if he would have done something about it. That's what I'm saying. Like,
well, there's nothing that he could do about it that Donald Trump, that actually hates her and has the power to do it, couldn't do. Bernie Sanders at this very moment has no power to investigate
he could have sued the DNC for its blatant corrupt biasness.
I would completely and utterly wreck them, right? But that's why I don't work in politics. Now, my thing, look, that would be the point. Tulsi is not scared to talk, you know what I mean, to speak the truth about it. I would.
And the thing is, the thing is that a lot of people don't realize is Tulsi was vice chair of the DNC, and she walked off. Like when the corruption was going on, she got
arrested.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but that's the deal. And there's some of it, like, look, the Bernie side does not have a problem speaking out against the rigging, right? We talk about it for 4 years, right? We don't let that shit go, right? So I do think there's some of it that we end up saying what he could have wasted time saying. But I agree.
Yeah.
I would have walked away from the whole thing. I don't think that Bernie Sanders needs the Democratic Party at all. And I
think it's a hindrance for him. They're just seeing, like, as it fucked him over in the 2016 election. Why would you trust the Democratic Party again for another election bid? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just absolutely brainless.
The people that were involved in it, right? The Clintons, they've got free reign to come out and make speeches, and everybody shakes their hand.
Right. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because the Clintons, they spend so much money on cleaning up their bad PR. It's like, oh, we got a scandal. All right, well, we got to spend some money to clean up the bad.
If there's a scandal, right? The Clintons are involved in it. If there's a political scandal, the Clintons are involved. That's just the way it is. No, they're like a normal criminal syndicate, right? Nothing happens without the Don, though.
Yeah, but we have this Bernie guy. It has to do with strategy, right? Maybe he's not an opportunist. Thing like when someone rigs your the vote and like pushes you out like that, if she doesn't win like that at that very moment, she destroyed her own career after that, right? So if he was already planning to like run again, then he knows that it will actually help him to win the next time. So if he was planning and then he didn't speak out, he just kept the respect to himself, I guess, and it has to do with like the calculations, like, do I have an advantage next time? And she will be out because she rigged everything. No one will ever trust her again. Like, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I mean, I also think that my theory is that Bernie was threatened because of what happened, both at the Nevada campaign office, where there was a shooting where the office was shut up, and then the staffers had their apartments broken into. And I also think that there was something that happened at the DNC because Bernie came out on the stage earlier. He didn't have a scratch under his eye. And then later on in the night, when the nomination was solid, he had a scratch under his eye. So it looked like he got beat up. I mean, that's just my thing. As my theory is that something happened where, the Clinton thugs beat him up. And I mean, I don't.
I mean, you guys know my opinion on that. Like, fuck, man, I'm going to, he was going to be president of the United States. It's one of those things, like, even if you threaten me at this very fucking moment, right? The moment that I got access to SEAL Team 6, I'm coming for you. Right?
That's the thing, though. I mean, the Clintons, they have so much power because Bill Clinton was president already, and they appointed people into positions of power like Loretta Lynch, which is pretty fucking hilarious. It's like Bill Clinton appointed Loretta Lynch, and then she was the one that was investigating the email scandal. He was the one that appointed her to the Attorney General, and the fact that he appointed her to Attorney General, and then she's in charge of investigating everything that was going on, that's just absolute insanity. That's a huge conflict of interest.
But people have now came up for possible charges with the email scandal in this last week.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so in the Clinton investigation, which there's other investigations going on, they got investigations coming out their ass.
Yeah, they do. They're actually investigating the Clinton Foundation, is from what I've been told.
They're always. I mean, come on, like the fact that it's if you see, we just got back from Haiti. Need I say more? Like, look right now. Go and look at Haiti and look at the amount of money Clinton Foundation came in, had coming in, and tell me they shouldn't be investigated. Like, whatever. Just what the fuck ever. But they have with this is their email. The email scandal. 30 people are now. They're going to put some pressure on them, and then we'll see some arrests out of it. But it's definitely not in any way, shape, or form clean. The fact that you were running an illegal server in your basement about it.
Guys, I think by now all our listeners are like totally bored by U.S. politics again. We have like a list of subjects where we should switch.
Got an entire world. It's not that those things aren't important, but it was something we were arguing about earlier, right? The world does not revolve around the USA and what Clinton or Trump's last tweet was. And it's kind of ridiculous that you go through the corporate news and that is literally all they are talking about.
Oh yeah. It's a narrative. That's why you need to get VPNs now, just to access fucking news in foreign countries.
Or just to find happening around the world, around the country that isn't, that isn't.
Well, Americans live in a bubble. They don't. Most of the news and information is unfortunately filtered.
Well, I can say like how most of the outside world, like whoever gets into power, I said it before, like red or blue, like the bombs always have the same color, right?
Yeah, it's true.
That's pretty much how they see it. The bombs always have the same color. They have the same explosions, no matter who is in power. Every time there is war, and there's like
very moment, they all seem to be stamped with USA on them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody is screaming about the Kurds. Nobody is talking about stopping weapon sales around the world.
To be fair, if it wasn't the USA, it would probably be China or whatever. I don't.
Fine, fuck them, right? Like it's one of those. Maybe it will be, but the excuse, well, if the U.S. isn't selling weapons around the world, then somebody else will do it. Fuck it, fine, then someone else will do it.
Honestly, when you start restricting weapon sales for every one distributor that gets cut off, there's 30 that are all willing to offer them arms. So you mean
fine. You don't use that with any other criminal activity, right? You can't say, well, I had to murder him, someone else was going to, right? Right? I had to rape that person, someone else was going to rape him.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That is the perfect analogy.
To commit Jewish genocide, or someone else was going to do it. No, that is a complete, utter bullshit line of thinking. Maybe fact is that chances are that we spend more in our military than the rest of the world combined, right? Than the next 30 countries combined, right? That includes China, Russia, all of those. I have a sneaking suspicion that no, the world isn't going to be able to produce huge amounts of weapons with the sole purpose of destabilizing the world to sell more weapons. Right? That's our thing.
Sure.
So what's the other thing on the list, Tyler? I mean,
I don't want to get into Trump, but he did some weird shit.
He's a weird shit.
He told other federal agencies not to renew the New York Post and Washington Times.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I could see that.
Bernie Sanders wants to federally legalize marijuana.
I could not just federally legalize, but also like let all of the people out of prison that are being like illegally held for the prison industrial. Like there's people that are in prison right now and is already legal in their state recreationally.
Oh.
Like when they send you to prison, it's like they don't even got to have a reason. They can 48 hours, right? They get you into prison without any questions asked. But then when it's time to get out, they act like they can't figure out how to do it. Like the way you arrested me, but in reverse. You open the door, you take off the chains, and I walk the fuck out. But they all act like this is some sort of huge deal. Well, we don't know how to get the prisoners out. What do you mean you don't know how to get people out? Open the fucking door.
So talking about investigations, the whole Mark Zuckerberg thing.
Yeah.
I didn't really follow that.
He's on like he's in an antitrust case. He's
he's got a lot of shit.
uh
What's wrong with the Libra coin then?
okay, Libra
Anthony
coin is because it's centralized. They were he had to go down to the Congress and speak with them. Another fucking Congress session with him. I didn't have the time to watch it. I guess it was only he was only interrogated for like 5 hours.
I saw some of it. It really wasn't anything eventful. The only thing that's come out of Libra is that a lot of the companies that were going to back it have walked away, and Libra is actually threatening Facebook's partnerships that they have with banks. So if this falls through, Facebook could lose their ability to allow people to use their banking connected within their network. Because right now you can actually send people cash, and they want to build that off into Libra coin. And if they fall through with this, they could lose their actual partnerships with those banks.
Yeah, I mean, but it seems to be that, I mean, their problem isn't with, like, Facebook and them selling information or them, like...
I mean, those are pretty big problems.
The problem is with Libra coin is it's not decentralized. It's centralized. Facebook controls everything. It's backed up by dollars that are backed up by banks, which they're going to get into some trouble with. And then the problem is that Facebook controls. They can't mine this coin. It's what we would call a stable coin, sort of. And it's not tradable, as far as I know. Not yet.
No. It is. They were saying that they wanted to put it on open exchanges and everything. But the thing is that it's a stable coin, and it's
there's no point in trading stable coins.
Trade a stable coin, like
it's like, hey, you want 5 USDCs? Okay, we'll give you 5 Libras for the 5 USD. It's like the exact same shit.
Right, yeah. And there was a congressman, I can't remember his name at the top of my head. He just introduced a bill that would label stable coins as securities in the U.S. And if this goes through Congress, for the cryptocurrency space,
stable coins are going to destroy cryptocurrency. You know that, right?
I mean, Tether is actually
Tether's a scam. There's still a federal investigation about that fucking shit. And I know the 22. I'm guaranteeing you the $22 million that got stolen from their own private fucking wallet was stolen by one of the fucking CEOs.
Tether. The thing about Tether is that Tether is actually backed by all of the big exchanges, and all of the big exchanges have like ridiculous amounts in Tether. So if it's a big gigantic scam, there's a lot of big name exchanges like Binance that are involved with Tether.
I remember Forex and Bitstamp were not allowing people to use Tether because of this whole shit. The $22 million that disappeared out of its own reserve was not hacked.
There was 800 million that was frozen. Like, these are big numbers. They're not fucking small numbers.
No, these aren't. Yeah. I'm guaranteeing you, with the hack that big, it was not a hack. Like it was somebody who was in the company who fucking did
it. Could be an insider hack. There was when Binance got hacked. Somebody leaked the code for Binance, and then they just recoded it to exploit the code. So I mean, like, there could be anything that happened with those hacks. We don't fucking know. But I mean, the other thing that I think is really, really, really bad for Tether is that Tether is connected to Bitfinex, and Bitfinex
yes
stands accused of money laundering and cocaine money laundering.
They were doing Bitfinex. I know that their programmers were DDoSing other exchanges so they couldn't go online. For real.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like shady shit like that. But the other thing that I think is like really, really bad is the fact that the U.S. is accusing Bitfinex of facilitating cocaine transactions, but they don't have fucking proof of it.
Well, I mean, the way that they give their public statements is kind of proof enough. you ever watch Bitfinex?
The thing is, are they connected? The thing is, are they connected to the cocaine trafficking, or is it just like cocaine traffickers using Bitfinex?
I think it could be both.
It could be both, but they don't have proof of it that I've seen so far. So, it's a big thing if the Bitfinex company is actually involved in the cocaine trafficking, as opposed to just random people that are doing it using Bitfinex. But that's the thing, is that there's a lawsuit in New York saying that Bitfinex is involved in money laundering and cocaine money laundering. So, if they have proof of it, it hasn't come out in court yet. And if they do have proof of it, Bitfinex owns Tether, so the crypto markets are gonna fucking feel it. It'll be like Mount Gox all over again, collapsing.
Or what was it? BitConnect, like that. That shit was funny. That was so funny. I remember remember Trayvon, the self-proposed millionaire, Bitcoin millionaire.
Yeah,
he used to be he used to be their spokesboy. Be like, look, man, I'm in this country and I'm in this blah blah blah. I don't work. All I do is
him and Craig Wright. Him and Craig Wright both use that to like get rich, and then they got a whole bunch of fucking. I stole your tagline? What? I'm confused. Anyway.
No, it was a Ponzi scheme,
Yeah. BitConnect was a Ponzi. The way that it operated, it was obvious that it was a Ponzi scheme that wouldn't survive a bear market. And that's when we went into the bear market in Bitcoin. That's when BitConnect collapsed because they couldn't keep on doing it. It only worked when the price is going up, right? It would never work when it's going down. Sorry,
what were we talking about?
Well, and speaking of, when we're talking Facebook and their Libra currency and the...
my bad. I was reading the chat room.
Look, they have fucked up. Facebook has fucked up everything that they have touched so far.
Well, they're an antitrust law, and honestly, this isn't going away. This antitrust case where they accumulate... What they're basically saying is that they're not stupid. The Securities and Exchange. I don't think that's the one that's doing the antitrust. It's a federal government. They're not. So basically,
the FCC.
Yeah,
the FCC.
Yeah, the SEC. Yeah. So what Facebook has been doing for the last 10 years is buying companies with the explicit intention of destroying the company, and if they can destroy the company internally, they will rehire new people and turn it into something else. They've been doing this for a long time, and it's going to blow up in their face. It's 100% illegal, and not only that, but by doing that, they're creating a monopoly. So,
Well, Facebook has been trying to buy random companies and social media for years now. They tried to buy Twitter years ago, and Jack said no. Like, I'm not selling it. They also tried to buy Snapchat. Facebook has been buying all of these social media companies, like you said, creating a fucking massive monopoly on social media. And there's senators in Congress that want to split up Facebook, and if they do split up Facebook, Instagram and Facebook will no longer be owned by Facebook, and they won't be able to do what they've been doing, cross platform type of shit that they've been doing with Facebook and Instagram, and it's stuff like that where they've been creating their monopoly.
Yeah, so Facebook offered to buy like Twitter, but then Twitter refused. And the day after that, Facebook introduced the whole tag system. And they didn't have it before. They didn't have the tag system in their site. And suddenly they ripped the entire thing off. They work with tags now too, on Facebook.
Well, I mean, the tagging stuff, I mean, that's all basic social media stuff. I think, it came from Twitter, but, everybody is using that tagging system. Everybody's using the tagging system. I don't think really they can patent a tagging system, using the @ sign to talk to each other on the internet on the platform. I don't think really there's a patent directly for that.
No, I agree with it, but it was obvious they copied that from Twitter. They didn't use it before on Facebook.
Now, I'm not 100% sure on how all that stuff works for Facebook, because I haven't used it fucking 10 years. It feels like.
I can explain it simple. That normally when you would put a tag thing in a post, it would not be highlighted, but now it is highlighted. It is a different color, like on Twitter.
That's black.
Ah, okay. I see what you're saying.
Friends with them, it links it to them. You can if you're not friends with them, then it's just then everybody sees it as black, but then you see it as blue if they're one of the people on your friends list. But
interesting. Okay.
A little bit to take the company and move it to, I think he said Switzerland, because several of the senators that were there, opened with, we don't want you to take the company to Switzerland.
Right, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Facebook can just move the fucking company out of the U.S. and then tell the U.S. to basically go fuck themselves, and they could still launch Libra coin in another country. We don't have to launch our coin in the U.S. We can go and launch it in another country. So if they do that and launch it somewhere else, the only thing the U.S. could do is be like, okay, well, we're going to ban Libra coin, and if it does do that, I think that then there might be a lawsuit between the U.S. government and Facebook. Because Facebook has the money to sue the U.S. government, right? Not many companies do.
Even in their talking, in my mind, it sounded like they were kind of setting themselves up to come down on some gaming, in-game currency as well, because they kind of scooted around it, but didn't seem to have the right set of words to ask the question. But I look for that to come up pretty soon here too. Is why the government isn't getting their tax of in-game currency.
Well, that would be a little ridiculous if the government's like, okay, well, we want you guys to tax everybody who plays Farmville or fucking, Mafia Wars or whatever the fuck else anybody plays now on Facebook that uses in-game currency. Because
there's times you use real money to buy it, and that's
what
one of it.
Yeah, but if you use money to buy something, you're purchasing a product. The game, it's not the same as cryptocurrency as opposed to buying in-game currency to use in the game. So, you're purchasing a product to, and that is taxed. I mean, it's not taxed how the government wants it to be taxed, but it is fucking taxed. It's taxed as a service. So, I mean, if they really try that'd be fucking desperation for taxes. Like that would just be ridiculous. Fucking every like online game, if you use real money to buy an in-game currency just to buy points in a game, you get taxed on it. Oh my god, that would be a nightmare.
Everybody went quiet for a second. I was like, what's
I was
going
looking
on?
for another subject here. Scrolling up.
Edward
Yeah.
Snowden did a special on Joe Rogan.
No,
Yeah, I was just going to say that too. That's interesting.
tax in-game currencies. This is from Newsmedia. Treasury officials have announced plans to tax in-game income made by characters in computer games in an effort to reduce the deficit.
What? No fucking way. You know how many people are just going to tax evade that? Like, they're just going to be like, fuck you.
Well,
like,
if the World of Warcraft's virtual gold system is 7 times more valuable than Venezuela's real money.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well,
I can see that, but
when your
what the fuck?
Which is equal to a country's economic, right? Like GDP, then yeah, they want their piece of that, man. They're like the mafia. And they want a taste.
Well, fuck off. That's all I got to say. Fuck off. That's ridiculous. You're going to fucking try to tax people for in-game items? Are you guys out of your fucking mind?
They're trying to count loot boxes, right, that you get in video games as gambling.
Yeah, that's great. You guys can go far with that.
Dude, they're trying. They're giving it like they are trying. So they're saying,
well, I hope they waste all their fucking money and that doesn't pass. Because if that passes, I mean, there'll be a whole lot of angry gamers. I mean, you talk about a fucking revolution, getting people off the couches. Attack somebody's fucking games.
Look at your average guy in the Senate, right? He doesn't even understand what in-game currency means. You said the word currency, which means he gets a taste of it. That's how their minds work. That's as far as they understand the technology. You said the word.
Well, you know why they want to do that. You know why they want to do it now. Look at Fortnite. Look at fucking Fortnite and how much money that free game makes for that company.
Loot boxes specifically were tied to Fortnite, where that people were making money, that they were selling loot boxes at the right time, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, Fortnite was specifically one of the things that they were targeting. As far as the gambling.
Well, I mean, fucking, like, yeah, but if you're gambling with in-game items, it's not the same as gambling with goddamn, like, regular money. The in-game items are worth something.
You said it was worth something. There was money involved. And if there is worth something and money involved, then the government has to get a taste. That's how this works.
No. Fuck off. That's all I got to say is just fuck off. It's like,
look, man, if you make too much money and you tell them to fuck off, if you're too good at it, they will send people with guns to your house to collect.
Yeah, like they did to William Cooper. But I mean, like, still, it's like, it's still like absolutely insane that they want to tax in-game items. In-game digital items you want to tax. The fuck? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, welcome. Remember, like people used to think of the virtual world being free, as being open. You know what I mean? Is not being is bringing in all of that extra evil, and boom, right away.
Yeah. On other subjects, as Tyler was saying, Edward Snowden did a special on Joe Rogan's show, and the whole entire interview is very fucking good. But the last hour, I highly recommend everybody listens to the last hour of the interview and listen to what Snowden says.
It was a 5.5 hour interview. Like, it was a marathon interview. I was kind of impressed with both of them, the way they kept it going. Like, that's how you run a show, guys.
Well, Snowden had a very, he had some very, very powerful quotes from the interview, and one of them I actually tweeted. I'll read it real quick. Every day we don't do something, the world gets worse. If we don't do something, no one else will. There are no heroes, there are only heroic decisions. It doesn't matter the difference that you make. Lay down one brick, and together we build a foundation of something better. It's kind of a paraphrase of the quote because it's Twitter, but it was a very powerful.
You really do feel, with Snowden, with Julian Assange, with Reality Winner, you really do feel like their hearts were in the right place. Like they really were trying to make the world a better place, to stop atrocity, genocide, and all of that. And when they speak and have the opportunity to speak, which is one of the reasons why I think they try to stop it at all at all costs, try to keep them from speaking out, that comes through. You see that they really do, reasons why they did it, even if it doesn't seem, logical to some on why you would put yourself in such danger to speak out. The moment that you hear them speak, it all makes sense. You see, like, that's why they stood up. You couldn't imagine them doing anything else.
Well, look at, like, the protests that are going on in Chile, Hong Kong, Ecuador, Barcelona, Catalonia. There's protests all over the fucking place happening right now. But in Lebanon, too, I think, is another country as well.
I posted a thing earlier of a speech in Hong Kong with protesters in Hong Kong about Catalonia. That made my heart swell.
Oh yeah, they completely joined in the whole Catalonia protest. I mean, the Hong Kong people were showing solidarity. There was like hundreds and hundreds of people posting.
Yeah, I feel like we helped that effort too with having the Hong Kong shows. I'm not saying that we're fully responsible for the effort, but I think that we certainly helped it because we had a show with the Hong Kongers, and then the next show back to back was Catalonia. So I think
they're standing strong against one of the most powerful like world powers there is. This is the Chinese government that wants to take control of you, and they have stood up. I mean, in a way that you want every protest to stand up. Like, it is amazing what the Hong Kongers have done, the adversity that they're facing. Right? This is no joke who they're standing up against, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, solidarity against overwhelming odds. Like I said, this is the Chinese government. You know what I mean? Like the U.S. government. Like, this is a monster when they got your ticket, right? And they have stuck together relentlessly. It's just amazing. And then, like we've seen so many times before, right? When given the opportunity, they speak up for other people, is what we saw with Catalan. I remember being in Standing Rock, and the people marching in Gaza, right, sent us a video with their support and how they stand with us, and I could barely comprehend that you even had the time to think about us, that you even had the time to think about me, right? And all of this is that's going on. You took a moment and didn't use that opportunity to talk about yourself, your own cause. You use that opportunity to talk about somebody else that's being oppressed. And that was just absolutely, amazing to me. And I saw that again here in Hong Kong, where given the opportunity, they saw another group of people that are being oppressed and thought, nah, we're bringing them with us. Let's go.
Yeah. It's what's great is seeing people come together like that, for sure.
Yeah. And about the whole Assange thing and Ecuador. I mean, we have someone in the server here. He's raging about the current president Moreno of Ecuador, because they're all on the streets protesting against that right now. And just so people know who that is the current government is a government that's kind of sold out Julian Assange, because the previous government was in support of Assange, gave him asylum in the embassy and stuff, and this new government, who is sold out to the US. They
and the EU, and the IMF as well. But it's also important to note that for listeners who haven't listened to our previous broadcast on Ecuador, he's literally a fucking dictator. He has police on the ground that are shooting protesters with live ammo. We did confirm that during the last broadcast that we had on Ecuador.
The Hong Kong episode, actually, we confirmed that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we weren't sure. But these Hong Kong guys who have some experience with the types of guns and stuff used during these protests, and then we checked like a picture. And then we saw below that picture, we saw like the video posted, and we saw like a protester who was obviously not responding anymore after being shot. So.
Bleeding the fuck, like bleeding out. Yeah,
it was hitting bad. And they do like we got several.
This video that we saw, Terrence was not shot in the leg. He was literally like shot in the chest.
This is from Ecuador, not Chile.
Yeah. No, this is from Ecuador. The video that we saw was a protester that was shot in the chest.
I think he was dead, this guy.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he was dead for sure.
Something that we have to stress, even the rubber bullets and all of this crap that they're using, they're not non-lethal. They're less than lethal. So if you hit somebody in the chest, you can stop their heart. You hit somebody in the head, you can, you can kill them with the weapons. And the law enforcement and military will specifically use these weapons to kill, right? So they're not using them how they're designed to, skip off the ground, so you're not getting, direct fire from it, but they'll blast these shotguns like at chest level, and they're meant to be skipped off the ground, not hit people directly. And they'll use them how they're designed, and it'll kill people.
Yeah, that's very true. And the shotguns they usually use have sandbags in them. But the thing is, using a shotgun that has a sandbag in it, that sandbag can fucking hurt. And it can do damage. And it has done damage in the past. So, I mean, they're not, when they say the words non-lethal, they mean that it's not a metal tipped bullet.
Yeah, it's less than lethal.
Right. Yeah. But the bullets that they're using in Ecuador, we can clearly see that they're not rubber bullets. They're real ammunition that's being used against protesters on the street. And there's been a number of videos now that have come out of Ecuador showing the violence of the police against the protesters on the street. And like I said, they're shooting protesters that are throwing bottles or rocks or whatever they're throwing in frustration. They're shooting them with live ammunition.
Well, and we've seen that these guys are very, very scared. They can be armored from the top to bottom in an APC, and nothing they're more scared.
Yeah.
You bring a tank to the party. Said about somebody chucking a rock at you.
Well, we actually saw not tanks, but we saw armored vehicles on the streets of Ecuador as well. So, things are really heating up there for sure. And it's the same situation for Catalonia. These are South American countries that are all at one point in time going through revolution.
Okay, guys, we got Santiago del Hierro in now. He is actually from the region, and
from where?
Can we get him on?
He's
yeah,
here.
we have a guest on. He's in the voice chat now. He's from Ecuador.
Welcome.
I don't know how to use this.
Hey, we can hear
No,
you.
we can hear you.
Well, you just said something, but you can make it push to talk by going to your user settings. It's a giant gear icon. on the left of Discord if you're not using a phone.
He just muted himself.
Well, now he muted us.
I don't know if you're listening to me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Push to talk normal.
Okay, no, it's fine like this. Tyler, can you put like the volume up maybe?
Yeah. Let me turn him
Or
on.
Yeah, Santiago, welcome, brother.
Hello.
Thank you for your welcome. I'm not that good in English. I'm trying to do my best, but I'm desperate because it's not just me. It's most of Ecuadorian people. We are desperate. What is going on here?
Right. Yeah. Tell us in your own words what's going on in Ecuador.
Oh, well, it's a long story, but I'll try to do it short. I don't know how much you know about what is going on here, but in recent days, in the last 2 weeks, we have some protest from the indigenous people because of the government is send or issue an I don't know how to say this a decree when they were freeing the price of fuel. So the indigenous started to protest all over the country, especially in Quito, the capital. The repression was terrible. There are a lot of dead people, injured people, material damages, and they agree with the indigenous to put down that decree, but that's just to gain some time. It's what I think, because they agree with the IMF to get a loan of $4 million. And you know what? How does the IMF act? They say to the country what do they have to issue, I don't know, in the country in terms of economics, in terms of social, and every time the IMF gets in a country and helps them, there's no help at last.
Right.
Every country.
Right. They always trap the countries into austerity. And we actually saw that before with Greece in the IMF.
Yeah, we saw that in Greece. I think that in Italy. I don't know if we saw that in Spain. And here we have seen that since 1981. The government has signed 20 agreements with the IMF, and we have never got better after the agreements.
Right.
Only
One of them most recently also was used to kind of like trade Julian Assange for a deal with the IMF. It was kind of obvious the timing of the deal and the exchange of Julian Assange to the UK.
Of course, that was part of a deal. They sold Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Correa gave Julian asylum, and this government, trying to get the loan, sold Julian Assange to the United States and let the UK get into our embassy and get him out. That's the worst thing. The government, our government, is what they have done is is terrible. I cannot believe that someone can do that.
And there was also um, a scandal that happened between your government as well, where WikiLeaks was accused of leaking documents that exposed a scandal with Lenin Marino, right? But it wasn't actually WikiLeaks who leaked the documents; it was actually somebody else.
It was not WikiLeaks. It was someone else who published these documents about INA papers, where
Yes, yes, I couldn't
the
remember what it was called.
yeah, where the president have Lenin Moreno had some accounts in this in Panama, and he has some accounts. What, but the money that was in those accounts was because of some negotiations with the China government to some commission. I don't know how to say that, to get some yeah. I'm forgetting the words. I don't know, to make an opera. I don't know how to say that. A hydroelectric to build something like that. In that accounts there are $18 million, and they have not investigated that.
Yeah, well, I think that the INA papers kind of just shows a background for the potential for a dictatorship by Lenin Moreno. I think it just kind of shows that he is a dictator, and that there's a lot of corruption there with Lenin Moreno. If the shooting of protesters with live ammunition wasn't enough to kind of come up with that.
We should confirm that, I think, with our guests. Like, is it true that they are like shooting with like live ammunition on protesters?
They actually did. There are videos of a protester who has been shot in the head, and he's dead now. They are using lethal weapons.
Can you provide us with those actual videos? Because I haven't seen anything where anybody got shot in the head. I saw somebody get shot in the chest, and I saw them bleed out. So, you know, I kind of realized that at that point in time that this is actually happening in Ecuador. But if you can send us those videos, that would be great, so we can get it out to the.
No, I saw some people carrying. I saw some people carrying around dead bodies, bro. Like for real, like from coming from Ecuador.
No, I didn't even see any of that.
I did.
I sent 3 days ago. I sent a video. I will send. You can send that again, and you will see the shot of this man that was injured there. Now,
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, that's pretty much the reports that we've got, you know, on the ground, is that there's multiple casualties, and lethal force being used against the people of Ecuador.
yeah, there are. I think there are 7 or 8 dead people, and thousands of injured. And,
But that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all, and that's very important to highlight and show the listeners what's really going on in Ecuador, because you have Ecuador turning over Julian Assange, which is basically going against free press. And then you have these violent protests that are happening where the police are shooting protesters. It's just absolutely insane.
Yeah, these are not citizens of a free state.
And when Ecuador sold Julian Assange, that was part of the plan to get the loan. That was part of the plan. Rafael Correa gave Julian Assange asylum because of the life of Julian was in danger. And this,
Right.
and this government, in order to get the alarm, sold Julian Assange and let UK policemen, I don't know, get into our embassy that is Ecuadorian territory and get him out. That's his. That's a I don't know how to describe that. It's like some foreign country invades you. I describe that like that.
Well, they actually illegally took away his citizenship, and then kicked him out of the embassy.
It's definitely a violation of nature.
That's the worst part because he was not just has an asylum. He was an Ecuadorian citizen.
Yeah,
He was. The government gave him the Ecuadorian citizenship. That broke our constitution, the international laws, the human rights laws, everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That the Ecuadorian president, Lenin Moreno, he broke all of these laws against Julian Assange. And not only just laws in Ecuador, but human rights violations as well.
Yeah, international laws, human rights laws, agreements.
Yeah.
He broke everything, everything. But I want you to let me know what can I do to show you what's really going on here. I can send you the video of that man injured and now dead because of that shoot.
Yeah, that would be great to show people in the Western world what's really going on in Ecuador. I don't doubt what's going on in Ecuador because I've seen it over the past couple of weeks when it started happening, when people started sharing things around. I got it put into my face. So, I mean, I personally don't doubt what's going on in Ecuador. But for other people, I think we need to get as much evidence as we can out of Ecuador to share with the rest of the world.
So if listeners are on Twitter, for example, you can use the hashtags Ecuador SOS or SOS Ecuador, and other important hashtags people can search for, because I know these ones have a lot of data on it, a lot of videos.
Yeah, that hashtag is if you search for that hashtag, you will find a lot of material to document that. It would be great. I don't know if you are doing it already. To follow the account of Rafael Correa, Twitter account of him. He has a lot of links and videos and material that you can copy and retweet and.
The former president of Ecuador is actually highlighting the chaos that's going on over there, as well as the police ordered assassinations of protesters by Lenin Moreno. Right.
This government is accusing Correa that he is behind all of these protests, and that with Nicolás Maduro, with his money, he's trying to I don't know, to break the democracy here. That's what this government is trying to position in the mind of people. That's not right. That's not correct. That's what I'm trying to put in mind of people here in Ecuador and in Chile, in every country, and it's not right. They had not that power. Not Maduro, not Correa. It's people, citizens, people from streets and that's claiming for all of this.
Amazing to see the unity that the people have had on the street, but still heartbreaking to see the same violent tactics being used against the people in their own country.
It's the same script of the right wing. here in Ecuador, in Chile, it's the same script. It's copy and paste. That's it. The one who cannot see that is a blind man. It's obvious. And in Chile, they have 15 or 15 or 20 dead people. We have 8. And the protests stopped because of this. The government put down that decree, but they're going to insist, and then they're going to have to impose that measures because of the IMF tell them, the government, to do that. And the protests will have to again be here in Ecuador, the indigenous people and the rest of the people that are not agree with all of this. They will have to do that again. And I hope that the Ecuadorian people, not only the indigenous, will go to the streets and claim and protest about that.
What do you think about all these protests happening in South America against the governments like Chile, Catalonia, and Ecuador?
Catalonia is actually in Spain, but near
Oh.
Spain. But,
Oh, yeah. Right.
but it is in Colombia, in Haiti, and in Honduras. It's starting too tomorrow, so it's everywhere, like you're saying. That's true.
Yeah, we have
Like,
protests in.
definitely going through an awakening, a movement. We saw the same thing in Puerto Rico. There's been protests in Cuba. It's just interesting to see that everybody is they have power in the people.
Yes, I think that the social media have a lot of power because of the media, the big media enterprises that are covering what's really going on in the region. Well, the good thing is, for example, in Mexico we have López Obrador, is a left-wing president. In Argentina, the elections for president is next Sunday, and Fernandez will win the election. And we see these protests here in Ecuador, in Chile, in Panama. We have some protests of the university students against a change of a constitution. We're seeing a rise of this movement of people, not the left wing. It's people, common people that is protesting because they cannot stand these measures of the right wing's governments of the IMF tell the governments what to do with the economic policy.
Yeah, I don't know why I mixed that up.
Catalonia
no
in
idea.
South America.
They're
like not even in the same continent.
For some reason. Yeah, for some reason I conflated Spain in South America, and then the map, and I was like, "Whoa, I'm way wrong. I'm way off."
We understand that Catalonia is Spain, and that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's still Spanish-speaking countries. That's what I meant.
Like Spanish is the third most spoken language besides English and Russian. So.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
What are we gonna do? Tell me what to do.
Well, I mean, there's so much. First of all, we need you to stay safe. And when you have an opportunity to record things, but number one thing is to keep yourself safe and out of harm's way. But even the couple of people that mentioned information, post those in the chat here, and we'll make sure that we retweet that. I mean, people want to know the truth of what's going on in the ground. They don't, they don't.
You know, they don't care about the fluff, right? They just want to know what is really happening. And I think people like yourself and everybody that's been, you know, posting stuff and tweeting stuff are doing an amazing job. So I mean, all I can say is just keep doing what you're doing, and it's up to us and people like us, people in social media, our viewer, to hold you guys up and reshare the information that you put yourselves in harm's way to get out, because the government doesn't want you to get this stuff out, right? The people that are doing these violent acts do not want the world to know about it. So we have to make sure that you're safe.
Yeah, and go ahead, Santiago.
No, I'm trying to keep safe, and the only thing I can recommend you is I sent you the last week. I had 4 Twitter accounts. I try to tweet the things I think that are happening here, and it would be great if you follow the president, former President Correa account. You will find a lot of information, real information, of what's going on here. It's not a matter of left or right or center. It's a matter of citizens and have a well-being here. With this government, we are going. I don't know. They're trying to. We have the dollar as a currency in the measures that they have taken. I think they're trying to get out of the dollar money, and I don't know what they're going to say there.
Yeah, and so this is also what I wanted to say. You kind of like said what I also wanted to say, that it is not a matter of left or right. That is what we kind of want to say, like as a disclaimer, that there are left-wing, right-wing movements, but that's not the point. The point is that these are ordinary people who fight for their human rights, and these human rights are being oppressed under their current governments, and this is happening all over the area. And now that there are protests started in certain countries, in other countries, people also see this, and they also start rising up and fighting for their human rights. And that is actually what's very important for us to cover. And it doesn't really matter if it's left or right. No, it is actually human rights are the kind of like not political. They should be like available to everyone. So that is a good little disclaimer I want to give. And go ahead.
They should be neutral, but when it's about Venezuela, Nicaragua. All the press is talking about that, but they are not talking about what's going on here in Ecuador or what's going on in Chile. And that's the point. It's not a matter of left or right. It's a matter of the common people that are claiming, that are protesting, because what we have gained in the case of Ecuador in the last 10 years with Rafael Correa government, with all the failures that government had, but we gain a lot, and most of the people gain a lot, not just the few families that before that government gain, and they are again have the power, and most of the people, the poor people, they are again in poverty and not receiving what they for right they have to receive.
Okay.
Well, if you, as I say, I sent you the links of my accounts, and I suggest that you follow the Rafael Correa's account. I can link his account here, so you can follow him. You can find a lot of information, real information there, and that would be great if you do that.
Yeah, and we also like you were in here. I think there are a few others from Ecuador in here already, and we are going to do like an Ecuador special like later this week, and then we can like cover this like more like in big details about everything that's going on. Like we have like a journalist who is like on the ground there, always like at the protest, making pictures and all these things. So we certainly have
I
to.
could do that. Right now, there are no protests. Things are calm here. But if there are the protests start again, well, I can do that if you want me to. And the thing is that you. Oh no, I forgot the idea. Again, I say if you can follow my accounts, the 4 accounts I have, and the account of former President Correa, you will find a lot of information. And I know there are a lot of topics worldwide that you are tweeting and trying to spread. Maybe Ecuador is a little spot and all of that, but we SOS Ecuador is not just a hashtag. It's free. It's what we feel. And if at any time, if you when you decide to do a trend about Ecuador or what's going on here in Ecuador, I'm available anytime.
Well,
Yeah, and we also have you here in the server. So whenever there's like a voice chat, you know how to join now. You can just click on a voice chat, and you can always come on and just when anything is important, you have to tell us. Then you can always just say it. You'll be like live within 1 second on the air. So
Yeah, yeah. And if there's ever a time where there's some sort of emergency, that something's going down, and you want to make sure that it gets out, feel free to message us, and we'll boost that. Before you go here, you said things have calmed down a little bit. What do you see, as moving forward? What do the people want in their government, in the changes in dealing with the IMF, in dealing with Julian Assange? What do you see as what the people's demands are to the government?
In terms of measures of the IMF, I think the government have to do what the IMF tell them to do. I don't know how they're gonna do it, how the people is going to react. I will be. I will give you all the information if there's some reaction or protest about that. About Julian Assange, the government, people here in Ecuador doesn't know what really happened to Julian. And some people think that he's a hacker, and it's okay that the government send him out and let the UK police take him out of the embassy. People here in Ecuador doesn't have enough information about what really happened to Julian Assange. I tried to do something when with Unity for Day and following the accounts of Christine and many others, but people here in Ecuador, they don't really know what really happened to Julian. They don't talk about that. While the world is talking about that, and I think that the whole world should be speak more about Julian Assange or what the United States is trying to do with him. I think that there's not enough noise about that in the world, unless here in Ecuador.
yeah, well, the people here in these areas, it's kind of like a symbol for the death of press freedom, right? This is what they are doing to a journalist, and this is what will happen to all journalists in these regions, which compared to other places in the world, maybe like has always been like relatively free for journalists, and now this kind of like symbolizes the death of press freedom for us. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, maybe in the rest of the world, people know Julian Assange as a journalist, but the government here has the information that they give us is that Julian Assange is not a journalist. He's a hacker, and that's not true. We all know that that's not true. He's a prize. He has won prizes for being a journalist. But if you ask people here in Ecuador, they don't know what happened to Julian, and they agree what the government did to Julian Assange. I cannot believe that. It's terrible. If you try to talk to people and try to let them understand what really happened, it's a hard thing to do with the people here.
Things to know. It just means we have to double up to keep getting the word out. And I'd like to bring some people on so that when we do make some of these posts, we can post them. I've been trying to do it, but my Spanish is terrible. But I'd like to make a concerted effort to tweet both in English and in Spanish when we tweet about Julian, so that people can read it, so that they get real information. Because a lot of times, if you're not reading like Western media, then you're not getting the story, and it's you kind of see that with Julian Assange, where we do need to make sure that we're pushing it out in Spanish as well. Absorb it.
You can use the Google Translator if you want. You can send that to me first, and then I correct if there's something to correct. I know that Jose Rivera is one Ecuadorian that is full into this Julian's matter. And I think he's the only one. No one else here in Ecuador. I try to do it sometimes, but I have my accounts with my own name, but I have to shut them out because of my employment. My boss told me that I cannot do that if I want to keep my job, and so I had to close those accounts. But I think that Jose Rivera is the only one who's speaking about Julian Assange from Ecuador, the truth. But it will be great that people here. I'm not an influencer, not at all, but I will try to do my best to let the people. I know some influencer here that can spread the word, and the Ecuadorian people know what is really going on with Julian Assange, the danger he's at.
So I have one request for you then, because your English is perfect. So I'm not a native English speaker either, but I do have many contacts with Spanish-speaking people, also from Ecuador, and maybe if we can bring them on, maybe you can help as a translator. We do have someone else too, Michaela from Foreign Friends of Catalonia. She also helps with translating many times with Spanish guests on air. But maybe you can help with that too if we get them on.
Anytime, if you want me to translate something, I'm available. I will do it.
Okay.
It would be great if you join all of us in this group.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we can, being that it's something we've heard from a lot of, not just yourself, but that the information isn't getting out. So I kind of want to make sure. Just reminded me when, look, it's the third most spoken language on the planet. We need to make sure that people are getting the information and can understand it. Yeah, really. And when you say, hey, there's one journalist speaking out about it, we need to make sure to raise their voices so that the truth gets out, which is all we're really interested in doing, is finding out exactly what is really going on.
Before these attacks to the former government, we had some time to post things and tweet about the Julian Assange matter. But because of the attack of this government against the former one, I think that the people who were speaking about this in social media, they had not enough time to. We have to defend the former government and have to talk about Julian Assange real thing. And but we have to try. We have to do both things at the same time. We have to.
Yeah, and Julian and WikiLeaks, of course, that's also a platform that is outside of the normal media. So there's always for activists also in Ecuador and on the streets and stuff. It's really also like a tool that it doesn't discriminate and censor anything. So you can always it brings like real information out. So of course it matters for all of us.
Of course,
Yeah.
it's Julian Assange life that's in danger. It will have to matter to every citizen in the world. He's a human being. Before being a journalist, he's a human being. And the United States is trying to extradite him to, I don't know, to kill him. I don't know.
So I message Jose again. I sometimes I do speak to that account. I always see him active, replying below the Assange tweets. That's a really powerful activist. I'm not sure if he's willing to come on the air, but maybe we should have him on too.
I can speak about Julian Assange here if you want me to, an audio or video. I know that those audios and videos will not be published here in Ecuador. I think must all over the world. But if it's that case, I don't care. I think that Assange lives is in danger, and we have to stand for him.
I agree that his life is definitely in danger, and just the there's certain rules that are followed and things that are given to you before being a member of a certain country. So I mean, them giving him citizenship and the protections that give away that with that citizenship need to be respected in the same way that you would respect all of Ecuador's citizens. So I think it's an important point to be made. It's not just a disrespect against him. It's not just a violation against him, but against everybody that's a citizen.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, every Ecuadorian citizen must be unsafe because of what happened to Julian Assange. That can happen to every Ecuadorian citizen. He is an Ecuadorian citizen, and the government act like that with.
Yeah, that is a good point, guys. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. If the Americans can just treat people from Ecuador like this, that is a shocking thing. And also, they are trying to make it in law like that they can do this to every person in the world. They can do this wherever you live. You can be extradited to the United States. Like,
Well, and in this case, well, even if we can't weekly, then we'll just pay $4 million. And it's disturbing to me that a country would sell out one of their citizens for $4 million. $4 million isn't even a lot of money.
No, that's not enough money to sell a human being and a citizen of your country. That you cannot sell a human being, and that's what happened to Julian Assange. This fucking government, sorry for the word, sold him to the United States.
Don't worry about it on this show.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we say fuck in almost every set.
I think we're required every minute or so to drop an F-bomb just to keep the censors on.
Fuck!
Sorry. No, this government, Lenin Moreno, is just a puppet of the United States. That's all he.
Sounds about right.
I think it's something. I mean, you see it in all of these protests. We've seen it in several in South America. People are tired of their governments being a puppet to the U.S. It never works out. We've seen from the 60s to the, from the 50s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s to now. We've seen it over again, and it never works out for the people in any of those countries. If you work with the CIA, it never comes out to your benefit.
with death and drugs.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, and 80s, we didn't have the social media that thank God, we have now. And then people just believe what the big media enterprises gave us information. But now we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have all of this media, and we can know the truth that this big media is trying to hide us.
And I've never understood, if you tell the truth, people will buy more of your newspaper. If you tell the truth, people will watch more of your news shows, not less. Like eventually we find out lying to, and then we don't believe anything that, once the media has been proven to be state media and lying to you, you don't believe anything that, and you automatically go to social media to get the truth. And I've never understood why these companies, why people don't stand with the people.
That's what I think too. But here in Ecuador, I can speak about my family. They are traditional. They only watch one TV news channel, and you cannot change them. And if you try to change it, no, this is our source of information. And they believe that, and all the time. And I don't know how they. If I find that this media tells one lie, I won't believe them again. But
Yeah.
the people here in Ecuador, and I think in the regional or worldwide, people, if the media tells a lie, if they tell another information, they believe them again. I don't know. I don't understand that.
I mean, the problem is that they're not telling like a small lie. I mean, they're literally selling us into a fucking war. Like, the whole thing behind Iraq has WMDs. That it cost a lot of lives, like thousands and thousands of people. Like, it's not like they're telling a small lie. The lies that the media always tells are always these massive lies that usually end up putting us into war.
Well, yeah, and look, if I tell a lie or if I do something and it gets thousands, if it gets one person killed, right, they put prison to my life. But these guys, right, lie to get millions of people killed in some cases, and there's no repercussions for it. In fact, if you stand up and ask, then they send, violent military or violent police to stop you from talking. It's crazy.
Here, I can speak about here in Ecuador. The media, the big media companies, they are hypocrite because they give news about the people that are dead because of the protest of 2 weeks ago, and they are part of a statement. I don't know how to say, to make those people killed, and they made those people kill, and they feel sad because they are dead. That's they are hypocrite.
Yeah, the blood's on their hands, but then they act like, oh well, I'm so sorry that this happened, but it wasn't that it happened. You did it. There's a difference.
They are
like
accomplished.
accident. You did these things on purpose. You're responsible.
Hey, can I ask him? How does he know that this leader is a puppet of the United States? What does he see that tells him that? I mean, I believe that's true, but what is he seeing that tells him that?
Okay, because he cannot say a speech without reading to begin, and he became president with a government plan that he has not done at all. He became president with the plan of the former government of the Alianza País party, and it was suppose I vote him because I thought he was going to continue with this process, but he when he get to the presidency, he changed everything. He did not what he's told he was about to do, and did exactly the opposite. And watching what he in these 2.5 years, what he has done is what the right wing is telling him to do. He's not the right ruler of the real good ruler of a country. The right wing, Jaime Nebot, the former manager, major of Guayaquil, the city I live, he's the one who is in charge, who is governing.
I mean, it's not unusual to see a politician go back on their platform or on the party platform. I mean, that happens here a lot. But you can identify people in your government that are directly CIA linked.
Yeah.
You're talking about the CIA.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. You mentioned a person that you believe, it's in your government, but you believe is CIA linked.
Well, Mike Pompeo met with the president in May of 2017. He assumed as a president in May 24th of 2017, and in that same month he met with Mike Pompeo. And I think, and we all believe that part of they talk about is one of the things, important things was sell Julian Assange to get that loan from the IMF, among other things.
In other news, I see that Russian troops are being sent to Syria. So that's very interesting.
Okay, well, that situation is very difficult. We know that the Russians backed the regime there, the Assad regime.
Right? Yeah.
And the Turkish, they back another group that calls itself the Syrian National Army. This is like a group, and it is attempting to form the Syrian National Army, and they're not exactly the same people as the Assad regime. So it might turn into something interesting.
Yeah, it could definitely quickly have tensions rise because of what's going on in that region.
Well, I don't know if tensions rise. I don't think tensions are getting any better. This is an 18-year war of a complete nightmare along complete nightmares. So I mean, this is
right. But what I'm saying is that it could spur into actual fighting between either Turkey and the Russians in Syria or Israel, because Israel also hates Assad, and the whole geopolitical situation over there is really getting. It has been over the past couple of years. It's been heating up.
Well, I mean, I think we lost something like 300 people in Afghanistan, over this 300 civilians.
Well, it seems now that because I'm reading the article, it seems now that the Russians and the Turkish are actually going to work together. So they are going to make sure together. They're going to make sure that the Kurds will retreat within 30 kilometers of the
Russian
Turkey border.
Oh shit! So then Turkey is going to be working with Russia against the Kurds. That's that's really.
I don't think like all of this. This is a quagmire, guys. This is why it's called a quagmire. So I mean, number one, there is no pretty way to leave an illegal war for profit. And what we have to truly understand is, like, I know that all the politicians and all the media comes out and allies, but what is an ally and for profit?
Yeah, and the situation is more difficult than many people think, because I don't think that not many people actually realize that also the Turkish side, especially the Syrian National Army, does have a Kurdish minority in it. They're actually fighting in that on the Turkish side, so to speak.
Kurds are not a single-minded people. Think of like
exactly.
Christian, right? There's Baptists, there's Catholics, and they've got wildly different like cultural roots and connections and language and you know, the people are the same. They're both called Christians, but there can be wildly different. And the Kurds that there's several different groups that believe all sorts of different things. Some of them are Syrian, Turkish. Some of them support Assad. Some of them don't support Assad. Some of them are you know, legitimate military. Some of them are actual terrorists like the PKK, right? So there's it's not this cut and dry, we need to stay or leave, it's really not that easy. The important thing to understand out of all of this is a mess that we created, and the people that created are still alive. George Bush is fucking painting and going to ball games. That's who is responsible for this. This isn't Trump.
Yeah.
Obama didn't put us into this mess, right? None of those people put us into this mess. Bush did put us into this mess. None of them have been able to clean it up. It's been a clusterfuck from start to begin, you know, start to end.
Yeah. Well, it was designed that way. I mean, you know, the whole Project for New American Century.
That's part of it too. We were discussing earlier, right? Using the excuse, well, then they're going to buy guns from the Russians. Then buy guns from the fucking Russians. But the fact is, you are no longer, I'm saying stop all U.S. weapons sales, right? And I don't care if you buy them from somebody else. Saying that is the worst excuse ever to keep on murdering people and to keep on, you know, supporting murdering people because you think that somebody else is going to murder them or to make money.
Well, I mean, all those weapons that they smuggled into Libya.
There is
all those weapons.
American weapons ever.
So I don't know how so much of Syria and Turkish conflict, but that's the way the United States act has been act all the time.
Yeah,
that's very true. And what I was saying was that, you know, you have weapons that are going in through Libya rat lines. Those weapons now are in the hands of real terrorists because the U.S. just decides that they're going to smuggle in weapons in Libya and then hand them out to the Libyan revolutionaries against Gaddafi. And those weapons have found their way into Syria, into Lebanon, into Iraq, and other countries around that region. So it's a real clusterfuck that they've created. I mean, there's actually been cases where the U.S. has airdropped weapons and Humvees to ISIS and said that it was a mistake. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, no, I'm not kidding. Like, it's like, oh yeah, it was a real big mistake. You accidentally just airdropped terrorists.
That covers all of this stuff in a black flag that matches no other flag in the area, and you accidentally airdrop shit on them. I don't believe you at all.
Yeah, how did ISIS get the Toyota? They
accidentally airdropped them.
Yeah.
Well, they got them. They got them at fleet price, man. They got a good deal on them.
Oh, okay.
That they bought, like they had to have got a great deal on all of those Toyotas.
No, I'm serious. They said that they accidentally airdropped them Toyotas, and I was like, "What? What?" I was like, "Is this a real news article? Like, what the fuck am I?"
Did believe that story, right? You would have to ask, like, okay, so where were your 150,000 Toyotas going? Like, if you accidentally like drop them, where were you sending all of these Toyotas? In
Well,
military?
damn it, Terrence! Come on, I mean, skip the facts, dude.
Yeah, but it is actually exactly like Santiago says too. That they use the same method. They use these local people, local groups, because yeah, American soldiers, American lives are too expensive as cannon fodder for them. They put these locals to fight for them, so they don't have to bring back these body bags with these American flags on it. Because then the wars would be over very fast, right?
They don't have to send U.S. troops. They use people of that region,
Yeah.
and I know that. Sorry, Ecuador things. I really know. It's just a little spot. We have to keep an eye on the Middle East conflict. That's a thing that we have to look at.
No, it's not a little spot. It's a perfect example, actually, that they are doing the same thing there too. That they are doing in the Middle East too. They are just.
Well,
This is a way to keep.
they don't have very many tricks. So I mean, they use the same ones over and over and over again. These are not inspired people.
I found all the articles.
But I mean, this isn't even the first time that we fucked over the Kurds.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is the third time we have screwed over the Kurds. And I mean, some of it is that so many of them are killed, nobody even remembers the time. Remember, we've done this, we've been here in this clusterfuck for 18 years. Right? Your average fighter is 16 years old. He doesn't even remember the time that you screwed them over.
But you know that these guys don't even have boundaries. You know that the Americans in Ukraine, for example, too. Look at what they did there. It's actually like they were like fighting with the Russians about it. But what do the Americans? They actually arm neo-Nazi groups against the Russians. Like they're like paying and arming, training like some kind of neo-Nazi militia to fight against the Russians because they know, yeah, those are like probably the most nationalistic, right? But yeah, they don't have boundaries who they train.
We've ever armed a group of people that didn't end up being terrorists.
Well, let's see.
But when Democrats do it, it's liberal, so it's okay.
Yeah,
They were Nazis.
I get. Like, what Afghanistan was a Democrat as well, wasn't he?
Who?
The senator that went and set up all the stuff with the Mujahideen.
Oh yeah. That was against the Soviets, and that was Operation Cyclone.
Carter started some of those first groups.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was Carter and Reagan.
Yeah, that turned out great. Yeah, so same tactic. We did the same thing to the Hmong in Vietnam. Used them as cannon fodder and then left them high and dry. We did the same thing with the Cossacks, knowing that they were, their cavalry regiments were to be murdered. This is our thing. If the CIA shows up in your country and offers somebody else's land, do not believe them. They're lying to you. Believing them. I don't know who, like, when they come up, Agent Smith, yeah, well, we're going to offer you the bottom part. Did you really think they were going to give you the bottom part of Turkey?
No,
Turkey,
exactly.
Turkey isn't even like Turkey is an ancient civilization. Did you really think that they were going to give you the bottom part of Turkey? Like when you lay it out on the map, like, did you really think that was reality? And I mean, it's been 18 years, right? About 6 years ago, you sort of started seeing like the writing up, right? The U.S. is leaving.
I mean, anytime the U.S. is an ally with another country and the CIA is involved, if I was an ally, I would not trust the U.S. I mean, because of all of the things that have happened over the years. Fuck.
Good things, right? Like they just. I cannot point to one time where you're like, oh, I'm glad the CIA assassinated the innocent people.
I do want to add to that the U.S. leaving and giving the area to Turkey and Russia. Turkey is actually the second largest NATO partner. It has the second largest NATO army. If they take control of the oil fields, it eventually will also the oil will flow to the EU and to the US, right? It's just the same group of people.
Yeah, they're not. That's why they're not really talking. Just like they all came out and that they feel horrible about this war going on. Blah 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 blah. None of them came out and said stop selling Turkey weapons. None of them. Right.
They will just insult Erdogan a bit, like, he's so bad, but nothing will actually happen to him. I mean, they're not insulting the oil companies behind it. They're not doing that. So
yeah, my thing is quit using oil. We don't need the shit. Like that fixes this whole problem.
I mean, yeah, that's true. We don't need oil anymore. I mean, there's other.
While everybody was sleeping, Tesla is now the top auto producer in the U.S. Like they're worth more than any other auto manufacturer, and I think that just happened yesterday or today, where they took the top spot. Like this is going to happen whether they like it or not. We can just stop now. We got to walk away. This has gone way too far.
Yeah, and keep in mind that they actually took that the whole lithium from Afghanistan, right? They took control over Afghanistan with the lithium mountains, and Elon Musk donates to both parties. He donates to both political parties, Democrats and Republicans, who both stay in Afghanistan always. So yeah, this is kind of corrupt behind the scenes if you think about it.
There's always something going on in Afghanistan. It's either control of the trade routes, control of the opium fields, control of the lithium.
No, you forgot they also have meth labs there now. Taliban's been making meth to fund AK-47. No, I'm serious. They switched growing poppies to making meth because it's a quicker turnaround.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
Well, they don't have to grow the product. They just got to get the chemicals to make it.
Yeah, I said. Oh, yeah, great.
Well, the cartel's doing it, so why not them? It's not fair.
Ugh.
Straight from Afghanistan, more meth.
Well, we have to diversify. It's part of our ongoing campaign to diversify their economy.
Yeah.
Mark, yes.
You know who's behind that? More than likely, I mean, I could say without full knowing that Richard Armitage has some hand in that because he was behind the whole opium deal in Afghanistan. And
yeah.
Well, yeah. The opiate game is up, so they gotta move to something else.
Well, no, they actually, actually, they're not. From what I heard, they're not actually processing the heroin there because there's like legit opium sales, and it gets done for processing for pharmaceuticals. So a lot of it's not legit. I would say about 90% of it's not legit, and 10% is. But they don't really process the heroin there. That gets done somewhere else. But the meth is 100% made in Afghanistan. So
yeah, well, I mean, if that's the case, I mean, fuck, the meth heads are really gonna just start dropping dead because ISIS
has been using meth since they started. They also have a drug that was manufactured, synthesized for them. It was some weird offshoot of beta ketone amphetamines. What are they called? Cathinones.
Yeah, and it was deadly, and it was killing people. But they've also been poisoning.
It was like one they made tablets of this stuff, and it would keep them up for like 4 or 5 days at a time.
That's pretty common warfare, though. The Nazis and the U.S. kind of ran off of speed and coke there during World War II.
Yeah, that's true, but no, I wasn't. That's not what I was referring to. There was
that where we invented was during World War II.
No, yeah. It was somewhere around the 60s or 70s. They stopped giving out amphetamine tablets.
Yeah, like amphetamines, especially like I said, both the Nazi and the U.S. military ran off of amphetamines.
They're using dexedrine, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what I was talking about was they were actually drugging, like they were putting dangerous chemicals into drugs like cocaine, heroin, and also marijuana, and they were poisoning it. And when people got a bad batch, they were dying from it.
And they keep on smoking it till they die. Yeah, I get it.
Right? Yeah. Not just smoking, but yeah.
I mean, both drug abuse and suicides have, went through the roof in the Middle East. I mean, thousands of percent since the war started, and went on so long that people do go to drugs and alcohol. Like, what when you've been at war for 18 years, what exactly do you have to live for?
Yeah, right. And it's to try to escape what's going on.
Yeah, an absolute nightmare. Like I said, 18 years. You've been through, imagine being a 10-year-old and watching your family explode. You think you have a drug problem? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's true. But also, the people who do use drugs and alcohol and follow the Islamic religion, they're actually going against their religion because their religion actually states that they're not supposed to drink and do drugs. And
Yeah,
I think it has something to do with sex too within it too.
very existential in that, all of our religions that would prohibit us from murdering each other for profit, but we totally do it. So yeah, you're not supposed to do drugs, you're not supposed to do this, but this isn't a drug you by a doctor to keep you fighting, right? Like, there's all sorts of ways that you can mentally rationalize what you're doing, and people do it.
Yeah, that's true. What are we hearing on your end? It sounded like somebody was scratching your microphone.
I don't know. It wasn't me. Maybe it was whoever, CIA or NSA, whoever's listening to us, probably had his mic too.
Well, we could have it could have been rendering somebody their cheese grater on their penis. Was that what that was?
Oh God!
I think that sounds more like you might hear a scratching followed by a scream.
Yeah, that was a little graphic there. Not me.
All right. Well, then he's just doing his nails then.
I wasn't trying to do that. I don't know why. I only got booted off once. But I think that we're talking about these fucking warmongers.
In other news, there was a Florida man that was arrested for having sex with a stuffed Olaf at Target.
Did he buy it first?
No, but that's just fucking hilarious. Like, he did it in the fucking Target store.
Yeah.
Like, okay, wait. Hold on. Let me just say what a stuffed Olaf is so everybody can get this picture, okay?
What?
A stuffed Olaf is actually a snowman.
What? Oh wait, yeah. I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, from the ice movie.
Yeah.
Frozen, right? Frozen.
Wanna build a snowman?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's from a movie or not, but it's a fucking snowman. It's a stuffed snowman, and this guy got arrested for having sex with it in a fucking store.
Yeah. This is from that movie. My friend's kids used to watch that movie all the time. It's like the one with the Want to Build a Snowman. They have that song all the time. I don't remember what the fuck the name of the movie was. Snow Princess or some shit.
I thought it was ice.
I don't know where it's from, but yeah, that's whoever's posting it in chat. Yes,
I posted it.
That thing.
I'm searching for it.
Yes.
It's from the Disney movie Frozen.
Frozen, yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was a princess movie or some shit. I don't know.
Well, you were close. I mean,
I don't know, when kids are watching movies, they're like, yeah, watch it. And then you're like, yeah, fine, I'll watch for like 5 minutes and like play on my phone.
You're doing your shift. You come around the corner and there is a guy fucking the shit out of right, like you and situation. Like put up a little orange sign, like the slippery sign, and just tell people to stay out of that. Like, how do you, sir,
I'm gonna need you to remove you.
Bear, remember that bear fucker?
Yeah, just dude, get out. Just buy it and get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't know if I would call the cops. At a certain point, like just let the fucking finish it.
I'm pretty sure that yeah, you'd have to call the cops. It's in public.
Like,
It's fucking hilarious, man. It's like,
I just want
what the fuck? Why? I would walk up. I would say to the guy, I'd be like, "You are aware, sir, that there are sex dolls in aisle."
Yeah, like seriously, we've got. If you need something for that, I don't know. Just turn the hose on him. Like, do you have a hose?
Do you have a hose?
Like, I don't know if you need the hose. Like, just get some soapy water and like splish that down the.
I'd be like, "Sir."
That's almost as bad as that time I listened to Howard Stern. I remember listening to it live where this guy was like, Howard Stern like had this guy on who was like, there's like a word for people that are attracted to inanimate objects. And he was gonna tell his dad that he was in a serious relationship with his Corvette. And I was like, what the fuck? So then his dad was like, yeah, like what do you mean you're like in a serious, like it was like this is the exact same situation. Like, how do you explain this to people? Like,
whoa. His dad's Corvette or his Corvette?
His Corvette. He had a serious relation. He was sexually attracted to his Corvette.
That's a little weird. But the picture that Mark,
I love my Corvette, I'd be like, yeah, everybody loves their car. If he comes in and says, hey, Dad, I'm in a sexual relationship with your Corvette, then we would have a serious problem.
Hey, you gotta watch where you stick it too, man. You don't even mess up the gasoline or get something in the oil that's not supposed to be there. You know?
Oh God!
I don't even want you in the garage. Okay.
You and your car can't be in the garage together alone.
I'm just looking at the picture of what Mark shared in the chat of a smiling Olaf and thinking,
oh, God.
About this.
He's kind of goofy looking with that one tooth.
Yeah.
This guy was obviously it. Like, there's someone out there for everyone, I guess. I just feel like that's something you could have just taken home. Like,
well, there's a whole family of them. It's a decent looking family.
I feel like the guy like literally was on fucking meth or something and just was like,
the reason why
I'm home right now. I'm not in a store.
Sir. Well, see, not the hose. You could use like the fire extinguisher or something. Just turn that on him and see if that sends him on his way. And you gotta pay.
Sir, you're gonna need to pay for that, sir. Yeah. You can't just leave that here, sir.
I feel bad for Target. There has to be some CC camera that I'd take my break. Like, if I come around the corner and there's a dude flop thing, I'm like, you know what? I'm taking my 5.
I would be like, all right, it's time for the next guy to deal with this.
First of all, the cops are going to be showing up here, so I got to get the fuck out.
Well, we got to make sure this guy wasn't tied with the company that's putting out this product.
Well, I want to say that this Olaf on the picture actually looks even more disturbing. Seriously.
Like, was that the actual Olaf used in the incident? Because maybe he fucked it up.
Yeah. It's listed in the articles as the incident thing.
They probably took it. I mean, it's evidence, right? Gross.
Yeah, super creepy face.
Like, it gets worse. Could you imagine being like the person that has to put shit into evidence and all of that crap, and somebody walks in?
I seriously have this like very vivid memory of like getting discharged from prison, and I was in like this waiting gate, and you know like people come in paper suits and then they leave in paper suits, and like it didn't click until I was like leaving prison that there were people that had come in naked, and I was like, okay, what the fuck were you doing when you got arrested?
Well,
I was arrayed at the gay bar.
There was a rated
Christmas music and all of that stuff, and the mood hit me.
Yeah, I was like, dude, like it's like you came in, they gave you a paper suit when you left. That means there was no clothes in your property when you came in.
I didn't want to get tased, and nobody wants to wrestle the naked guy.
Target assured that both stuffed animals were destroyed.
Yeah, we burned them in the back, as would, you know what I mean? We give them a good Christian burial, but...
Fuck!
Let me see what our views are. Let me see where our views are at. Oh god, they're probably dropping.
They're probably dropping like a rock.
No, someone actually replied. Someone actually replied and asked, so you guys are saying this guy fucked a bear, but it's more like a snowman.
It's a snowman stuffed animal, not a bear.
Nobody's really watching us, man. What the hell?
Would that be...
It says like 9 viewers or something, it says on...
there, but on the back end, 13. Okay, so, but I'm also checking, let me see, VK.
I don't get stressed out about the numbers. Fuck it. I don't like feel.
Well, is this fair to all the guys named Olaf who have to take abuse because of this?
What's funny? It's funny as long as we don't stay on U.S. politics, we don't lose viewers. The second we start talking about U.S. politics, every bloop bloop bloop, we start losing viewers.
It's saturated. Like there's so much news going on around the world. We could sit on here one issue to the other from news stories all over, and they're covering the same weak news story over and over and over again. It's like it doesn't matter where you go, it's the same story, the same US politics. And I mean there's craziness going on everywhere. There's good shit going on everywhere too, but we don't get to hear any of it. We've been pushing the story about the oil spill that's washing up on the shores of Brazil nonstop.
Yeah.
And, there is a giant oil spill. That one they don't know where it's coming from, but there's a giant oil spill in the Bahamas that the news does not talk about at all. And I bet you the two are connected.
We have like an hour left. We should actually talk about a few things in the list, though, because there are some things which are pretty big news. I mean, the whole Brexit thing we should actually talk about, and about the BBC being on
what's going on there.
Before you get into that, there's information in regards to the Brazil oil spill. The Brazilian military just sent 5,000 troops to clean up the oil spill in Brazil because it's gotten so bad.
But that's only after something like 15,000 civilians went out and cleaned up. I mean, they've been cleaned
up. Oh, yeah, of course.
Demanded that the government take action. But they only sent the military after the civilians made them look bad. After the population, like all of the fishing communities were using their fishing nets to pull it in, then they said, oh, well, we're actually going to do something. But it was after the fact.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Do it in any way, shape, or form. They said, oh, well, it must be a pirate ship somewhere that had oil on it, and that's it.
Even though ID where it came from?
Well, it's just we just had, even if it's not oil spill in the Bahamas, right? We just had some of the biggest hurricanes, right, known to man roll through that area, and you're telling me all of the pipeline platform fine? I doubt it. But they're not even looking at it. They're not even looking at it. One in the Bahamas, they're not even mentioning it. Complete media blackout. And I mean, you can see it going out into the water for miles around. Crazy.
Yeah. About Brexit, it was supposed to happen on the 31st, right? And of course, it's being dropped now. And but Boris Johnson, who was the prime minister, he called for a general election in December. but he needs support from another huge party, which is the Labour Party, and they need to support it, or it can't even happen. They
Well,
will
and
only support it if a no-deal Brexit is off the table. So
he once, like, he kind of worked a deal, and that they have an extension, but then they have to vote on it, or that they agree to vote on it.
yeah, go ahead,
It's a,
Anna.
well, it's a bad deal. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 things in there that are you're essentially you're leaving, but you're essentially giving sovereignty over to the EU in like 4 or 5 important areas. So it's just a nonsense deal. He's
Well,
as
I mean,
bad as May.
at a certain point, I mean, at a certain point, when do we not take this serious, right? So, I mean, the EU is not going to walk away from the money that's involved in the UK, and the UK isn't going to really walk away because of all of the businesses and trade that they have with the European Union. So, like, what is the point of all of this?
Yeah, well, the big problem is they shouldn't even be talking about do we have a Brexit or not, because the people already voted in favor of a Brexit. They had like a majority vote. So what they actually should discuss is how do we make this go as smoothly as possible. That's like the only thing they should even be talking about. But
Right.
yeah,
They've been trying to avoid it for so long now. It's like they've been trying to walk back the vote and say that it didn't fucking happen, or they want to redo a vote. Like, it's like, oh, well, you lost the vote, so you want to redo the vote. Like, like, it's so stupid, but that's what they've been trying to.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
But you know what also? One second. You know what also weird is the Remain campaign acts like they have to stay in to save their country and all this stuff. No, they can just leave, and if they want, they can just return like 2 years later. It doesn't even matter. Like, new countries join the EU all the time. Like, they're doing like the whole world will be destroyed if they leave. It's like the weirdest thing ever.
And he is right. Like, countries join the EU all the time. Certain countries have been trying to join the EU. Like,
well, I would compare it to a trip to a casino. They always bring you in very grandly through the front entrance. It's all lit up, and then if you've ever noticed how they kind of exit you stage left out some like security door or through the service tunnel or something like that. That's what the EU is. It's
well,
a
I mean,
mafia.
can't even get him to, like, you can't even get anybody to really leave, and the EU itself took like a real hard line, like, we will not negotiate. If the date comes by, that is it, out, no questions asked. And then the dates come by and they're like, yeah, we'll give you enough at a time. Like, it's not like an actual divorce. Y'all are just separated. Like, it looks like you're just gonna get back together.
Well, I think to me what it shows is the British is that you're really not a democracy. Of course, you never were, but they don't seem to get it. They think they're free, but they live under royals. I mean, they're scrambled up, man. They don't get it. So right here, your vote does not count.
Yeah, I mean, they did.
We've
Whether I think it's a bad idea or not doesn't particularly matter. If they had a vote and that's what it is, then that's what it is. If that causes them to not have food and medicine, shittier deal getting back in. But I don't like. I don't have a dog in that fight, right? But it is interesting that everybody talked all sorts of hard and how these dates were unchangeable. That there was nothing that they could do. This would happen, right? And then when the dates come by, I guess it's not automatic.
Well, I mean, do they even have a government? Because of all this Brexit, the acting government was decertified. Then the House of Parliament, what did they do? They broke up House of Parliament and more or less dissolved everything. It's like so. But then the Queen isn't doing her job either. It's not like she's for the exit. So you really don't have anything. from the way I'm looking at it from the outside, that's what I see. You don't have democracy. You really don't have anybody there that gives a shit about you.
I just got one question though. If Brexit does happen, does that mean that we dissolve European royalty?
Oh yes,
because
right away. Right.
I think we should.
If they were smart, but they're just going to get out of the EU.
Yeah, all royalty needs to be immediately dissolved. There is no reason to have what is a royal?
Oh, did you hear about the Thai royals too? Some shit happened.
Yeah,
that was fucking funny.
Yeah, one of their I think generals.
She was supposed to be a queen. She wasn't, and she got really pissed off over that she didn't become the queen. So they made her noble. Then she did all this military shit. And then she started pretending she was the queen, and then she got stripped of her titles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now she's a nothing.
Which you were, but that's the deal. You were nothing before. It's so that whole idea is so fake to me. I just don't get it. I don't understand.
Take notes, rest of the world. Dissolve your queens and kings, princesses and princes.
It's just pointless. I don't I don't understand it. The fact that you're the most in person does not make you win. That's just how I feel about it. I don't see you being anything special. Nobody elected you. You're just a person. I don't respect any of that authority at all. No, but I've got royal blood. I don't care.
I'll tell you, I mean, we kind of get it here, I think, but I mean, you ask most people, I mean, I even see it on TV. It's like there's this royal worship, it's freaking disgusting. It's like every story about them, about these royals, is just positive. It's like this is America. It's like, why would he even care about that?
Oh, the Duchess or whatever.
They're taking some time off because they've had so much hard work, and it's just all this nonsense. It's like, really? They were hard working. Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're the richest family on the planet. I doubt that it's that bad. I know it's bad, but come on. It's not that bad. There's a mom working a 40-hour fucking week a day after she had a kid, right? It's not all that bad. But no, I don't understand that whole pyramid scheme, literally.
Hey, good segue there.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, no, I mean that actually took it back through time. Jeez, man.
All right, well, we got 45 minutes. What do we got left on the list? There's a lot going on. I do want to stay away from U.S. politics. They're making me nauseous.
Oh, but number 5 was on the list.
Like scrolling back right now.
Bernie Sanders wants to federally legalize marijuana. Well, it's okay.
I'm down.
We go for that.
I think everyone agrees.
I'm not going down that road, but just to throw it out there, once again, Joe Biden is not for the legalization of marijuana. There is not a single issue that motherfucker is on the right side of. Not a single issue.
Oh, well, sure he is. Just look at his boy. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Oh, I haven't even.
So it's okay for certain people.
While we were on the show, we got the video of Hunter Biden bursting into tears about not being able to take $1 billion job in China. I mean, he's already multimillionaire. I don't understand crying about. Oh, I'm not as rich as I. Well, I mean, come on, dude.
I mean, he probably has fucking dead up the asshole for cocaine. You remember he got caught with tons of cocaine. So I mean, he's probably in debt with some drug dealers, man. He's probably crying because he's like, Fuck, I won't be able to pay my drug dealers.
I'm gonna
I
break
think
my.
he's got a gal coming
Break
after him
my
too,
kneecaps.
in a paternity suit.
It just seems. It just like, come on. It's the same. Like, you know, if Trump does step down, dude, please, 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 don't cry. Don't. Cry. That's all I ask for America. Don't cry.
Okay. Enough American politics.
Yeah.
But I do. You guys talk about cocaine. I think it's safe to say that Tyler maybe announce our upcoming guest or something.
Oh, yeah. There's a good probability that we might be getting John McAfee sometime this week. So
Say that again.
John
Sorry,
McAfee.
I've been looking for that interview for so long. I hope he comes on. Like, that's gonna be a fun one. I hope we talk about cryptocurrency and his I don't know, his his travels around the world. It's been a wild ride, so he'll be a fun one to interview. I've been trying to get, like, I think all of us have tried to get him on here at one time or another. We finally got through, so I think it'll happen. But it's gonna be a good episode. He's a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really good episode.
I think is the word. Outlaw.
Yeah.
I think is what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Yes.
everybody. I mean, come on. I mean, America gets pretty dull. Listen to the usual propaganda. I mean, you need Bonnie and Clyde stories like that every so often to like stir things up. And
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he has spit in the man's eye at every opportunity. Just great. So yeah, it'll be a fun interview. And I do want to, like, he's got a lot of fun information. Drug, sex, and rock and roll. And antivirus and programming. Just a lot of stuff going on.
He talks shit on the antivirus all the time because of he left the company about 10 years ago, or 2010 or something around there. So yeah, he said it himself that program has gone to shit. Like, me personally, I don't recommend any antivirus, but
Well,
I've always been a big fan of Fast. I've used that throughout the years. I knew the guys that started it.
he did a big documentary on it about how they screwed it up.
well, it's true that McAfee, the antivirus, has literally gone to shit. It's such a system resource hog. It's almost
The weird part is, you can't. I have it right now on this PC because it came with it. You can't customize anything. It does everything back end for you. It assumes that the end user is uber retard.
Well, yeah, that too. But I was saying that it sucks on system resources, and the problem is that a lot of these laptop brands are packaging McAfee with these laptops, but the laptops don't actually have enough RAM to fluently run them.
Yeah, but
run the software.
why would you design a antivirus that requires more RAM than most games?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous how much RAM and not only RAM but also processor. The processor, I can't think of fucking what I want to say, but basically just taking processing power from the computer to run the antivirus software 24/7. And with McAfee, the at least the software that's packaged pre-bundled with these laptops, I know because I had one of these laptops. You can't actually fully disable it unless you uninstall it. So it's just really a pain in the ass. I don't understand why they would create a antivirus software like that.
Oh, because they don't care.
like at all. But not
Well,
like it'll be.
they want to make money, yes.
But once you get the contract with 10-year contract, Dell or whoever you're kicking out your laptops through, right? You don't give a fuck.
Yeah, sometimes these guys grab up companies just to put them face in the dirt, just to make their name mud.
Well, I mean, that's Bain Capital going after companies and just causing them to fold. But I mean, besides that, most of these guys, if they take over a business, they want the business to flourish. I mean, if you're in the VC capital game, like Bain Capital, I mean, you want to take the company into the ground.
Isn't that what good Mormons do?
That was a good one.
However you rationalize that, yeah, like destroying people's lives, taking all of the worth out of the company, and then just leaving.
Yeah, I don't understand why, but Mitt Romney just has this fetish with going after kids' toys companies and causing them to fail. Like he did it multiple times while he was at Bain Capital. So I mean, yeah, I don't understand his fetish there, but he destroys kids' toy companies.
Well, it might
literally
it might be a fetish, but I think he's just a penultimate asshole. I mean, that's what he is.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
I mean that leads to these fetishes, but whatever.
Yeah, you gotta do it in the first place, and then you just start. I guess after a while, you start to like it.
He's not loyal to anybody.
I think that's the business world. Like he's definitely a capitalist.
Well, yeah, that's a joke. A VC meaning vulture capital. It's actually venture capital, but the joke is they're vulture capitalists looking for companies that are going to die, and then going after them like a.
So they make sure that they take away the workers' retirements before they leave is really their game. So like they clear out what would be the workers, when you close down a factory, the union, their retirement and investments and all of that stuff. So that's pretty much what they're there to take. And then since they're or they've been restructured, that means that the CEOs get to walk away with all the pension. We see that a lot in like the coal industry recently as well, because the coal industry has gone, it's over. But they came in and restructured to make sure that none of the workers, have a pension, have a livelihood afterward.
Okay, privacy law. I don't know. The privacy law is not very good in the West, or but I think we're not on the top. I think in China it's the worst, but let's see.
Yeah, I mean it's arguable in the worst. In China it's bad, in the U.S. it's bad, in Russia it's bad, in Korea it's bad. If you're speaking out and you're in Catalonia, it's bad. Like they all look the same to me.
Yeah, that's what this actually says, is that most of these countries are completely invasive on your privacy, but China was number one. No surprise there, but yeah, they actually said China actively invades privacy. Not only do they not protect it.
Oh yeah. If you cross the Kazakhstan border to China and you're a Muslim or an Uyghur, it's mandatory when you go through passport and customs. They install a malware on your phone.
What?
Yes, 100% truth.
They install malware, like remotely install malware on your phone?
It's a software that they can monitor your program, your everything back end. It's basically a backdoor to all your info.
Right, but I'm saying, is it remotely installed in your device?
No. You must install it right there. You must install it right
Oh.
there on the spot in front of them, or you will not gain entry into China.
Oh,
What the fuck?
Yep.
well now
I guess.
now I want to get access so I can see what software.
Well, I'll tell you, if you go to China, you're not coming back. Like we've bashed China too much. You go there, you're not coming back.
Good chance. But I'll go. I'll like. I look. The rule is.
It's now they've installed facial recognition. You can't pay without using your face. You also they're also, because of the Lucky system or the social credit system, they also monitor like who they have different trash cans for all the shit that you fucking throw away. And now to use the garbage cans, you have to use your facial ID to show what trash can you threw what into what.
Yeah, same with using the bathroom for toilet paper. In certain public places in China, they have literally, you have to use your facial recognition to get toilet paper to wipe your own fucking ass. Like, what the fuck is the world China, what the fuck?
Do you?
You know what I?
Do they
You know
have
what I?
else?
Sorry, go on.
I didn't even hear anything anybody said. What?